sufficient enough or dense enough. We also felt that the railing design with the open horizontals could be further developed with something more opaque or something that was less transparent by continuing sort of the design language of the garage as something more perforated or something more solid, which would help articulate the facades, as well as we suggested perhaps looking at, some slight changes in plane, or even like I would suggest even breaking up some of the balconies that are along horizontal. So I do think right now that I think they recognize that they can make some modifications with the brise soleil, as Mr. Norton mentioned, to increase the density of those to be more effective. But I do think in combination with that, more has to happen with the design of those railings, as well as maybe perhaps some further articulation to break up that continuity of the entire facade being the same design repeated at every level.
Okay, thank you.
Lindsay, I'm sorry, Mitch, you're next. Yeah.
Sure. I'd like to see further detail. I don't see it clearly, what appears on the renderings that you provided today. Looking at page A501, Neighborhood Buildings Material Reference, it has a lot of nearby buildings. It has a building down on Venetian Way. Wondering the height, the proposed height of the new hotel going across the street, maybe staff.
I think it's 300 feet.
Okay, so 30 stories, and this is a couple of blocks away. I gotta say, I can be amenable to your height. I'd like to see a little more public benefit. I'd like to see a little more sensitivity towards the whole Hauser structure. And in terms of public benefit, and the ambassador may recall 20 years ago, I believe Lucia was standing where you are today, Neeson. We were discussing the airplane wing structure on Lincoln Road, the now demolished Lapidus kiosk, which stood there. And at that time, your client was amenable to recreating that stuff. And I know the city had a grandiose plan, which likely is not going to happen for decades. So I certainly think that could be a public benefit if we want to continue this conversation.
If I may legally just respond to that, that's the public benefit is really a discussion, not a discussion properly before this board. It's really one for as the zoning is changed to accommodate the additional height in FAR, if something would be required in connection with that. Although I would tell you, the main public benefit is fulfilling the goals of the city's comprehensive plan, which is to create a market rate rental housing in the city. But that is not a discussion for this board, really. That's a discussion for the City Commission and Planning Board.
Okay.
And by the way, I seem to remember Ambassador Seijas was not a big fan of the roach.
It's still there. They were talking about removing it then.
Go ahead, Lindsay.
I just had a question. We were talking a lot about market rate. I'm just curious, what are the sizes of these units, studio versus, I think it's studio 1, 2? Did we say that? Or I missed it if we did. Approximately.
What?
550 for the studio, 720 for the one bedroom, and 1,000
So 550 for the studio, 720 for the one bedroom, and 1,100 for the two bedrooms.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Okay, go ahead.
Say a couple of things. Ambassador, thank you for your service to our country, and I certainly appreciate your impassioned speech about how you care about this city. I think I speak for every board member here that we all care about this city, and that's why we serve. That's why we give our time. I've lived here for many years, and this is a historic preservation board. I think that the design is nice. It's a beautiful design. Perhaps it doesn't belong at this particular site, because to have 160, 150, 160, 170-foot rectangular wall along 16th Street, I don't think is in context with what the area is what it should be. I'm not sure, I'll leave this discussion for another time, but at this particular time, based on this design and the configuration, I cannot support this project. Thank you.
Okay, I'll jump in because I wait till the end to usually give my comments. And I respectfully, I think that this height, given this particular location, the uniqueness of Lincoln Road, also the building across Washington Avenue from this building, gives this the context that it needs to be in a higher building context. So I'm not so concerned about that. I have been kind of biding my time to figure out how to memorialize Hohauser, which is our project. And Albert Ennis is beautifully memorialized in the rest of the building at 420 Lincoln Road. And so a couple of options that I was thinking was perhaps pulling out some of the details that are specific Hohauser details and finding another home for them, maybe on the west side of the theater wall that used to have a huge mural on it, but now has nothing. And maybe it could be a couple of pieces there that have a kind of a note about Hohauser, about his legacy, about the building. It wouldn't be moving the building or the part of, but it would be kind of understanding why these buildings are important, and that is because of the relationship that they have to their details of the period. So that was one thought about that, and that they could potentially have, a life there. That would be along the Drexel Avenue side. We had talked a while ago when I was on the board, we were initially talking about moving this, about having those details expressed. It would be just a few feet of them, but of the details themselves of the Hohauser, because there are some really beautiful moments there that would be preserved, kind of as sculptural, but also as kind of educational pieces that help somebody who's walking along Drexel, who's seeing the New World Symphony in front of them, who's walking down to Espanola Way, walking by Time Out, to understand that this moment in time, at one point, as you point out in the had more of a context of the Art Deco district before Albert Ennis's project went up. So that was one thing. And then the other, I was really fine with everything else. I just want to make sure that I understand the ramp is on the Washington Avenue side. So you come up on Washington Avenue, and then you're up, and around the entire building are steps. They're kind of like steps that go up to get us to the finished floor height that we need to be at Crown Road. So I just wanted to make sure that everybody realized that, and that you come up and you go back down on the Washington Avenue side if you're using the ramp for any reason. And I think in addition to some of the maybe some of the architectural fragments could be incorporated, it would be nice if in the lobby, I know there's a wall when you walk in on the left side of the lobby, there was some plaque that would also kind of point to the fact that the Hohauser building was on the site. Remember, the point of this board is the Historic Preservation Board, as you know, and that's what we're kind of most focused on. But I would kind of like to see those two things happen, and those were kind of my comments. Otherwise, I'm okay with the project. I think it's going to be a really interesting and important addition. I know the staff that I work with can have no place to find rentals in Miami Beach, so this will be an important opportunity. Did you have your?
Yes,
Okay.
I had. That's okay.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I had one comment. We have like the alley on 16th Street, and I think we need to have a better treatment of that space, because there is a large stretch between the entrance of the garage until you hit the first retail space on the building. I'm talking about, if you look at this elevation here, so you have the whole space from here to here, that's pretty much dead from a pedestrian standpoint.
So on the, for
Oh,
the
this
public,
drawing is-
on this rendering right in front of us, you're referring to the garage entrance on the left?
Right, because then you
That's
add,
existing, and then the loading entrance just to the right of it.
correct, so it's a
Which
big
is
stretch of the block, that's maybe like 1/3 of the block, maybe more. That's pretty much dead from a pedestrian standpoint. And I think if you're trying to encourage pedestrian life and street life, this is a deterrent to that. So I don't know, I would suggest maybe you can take a look and treat that space in a way that's more inviting to pedestrian circulation.
Yes, as I mentioned, and understand your comment, it's a very large block. It has great service needs between the 420 building, the Zara store, the apartment building, the Time Out Market space. And this, 16th Street, of course, is less important. As was mentioned, Drexel is being redone to become a pedestrian-oriented promenade. Washington, of course, very important pedestrian street. I'm not sure what can be done, but it's something I guess we can study a little further to see if there are ways of treating
Yeah,
it.
because in the floor plan, it shows a one-way exit into 16th Street, if I'm not mistaken. So in reality, this space doesn't need to be that wide.
It's
If
actually two ways, though, I
Well, so
think.
then the plan needs to be rectified, because the plan shows shows diagonal parking and one-way driveway. So, yeah, so I'm sure there is enough talent in your team to come up with another alternative for that.
Mr. Chair?
Yeah, I was going to, just on that point, I was going to mention that the plan also shows a green space there, and I think your rendering shows a tree, like there. So just the tree, yeah, that one. Is that, so that's also drawn as the one-way out? Is the rendering? Oh, maybe the camera can pick it up? Okay.
Yeah, the plans do show it as a one-way out.
And the renderings also show it in the same way. They don't, the renderings show a tree there, that's not,
Let me, hi.
yeah, hi.
Jose Gomez again. Can we go to the slide, the site plan, so that I can show you how the whole
Sure,
city block works?
sure.
Let's see if I can get there.
There you go. Whoop.
Okay, so here you go. So.
Go one back. The drawing that we're all talking about is one
The
back
other
from
one is a
there, that
blow-up.
one.
That's a blow-up, but let me just take you
Okay.
back for the entire block. So that here you see the entire block. So what happens is on the on the top of the drawing, you see Drexel here. So Drexel is being redone right now. So it become pedestrian from the alley to the north, become pedestrian. The right-of-way.
Can you use the
ends-
cursor? Can you use the cursor no, it's,
If I
well,
can-
not the
oh.
pointer, the cursor on the, do you,
Of the laptop? Okay.
yeah, the cursor on the laptop, we can, yeah, there, now we can see it. So now show us
Okay.
exactly where
So
Drexel is.
This is Drexel right here. Okay, so Drexel today is being reconstructed. And it will end up, the vehicular circulation will end up at this runabout. And this is the entrance to our alley. So trucks are gonna be able to come in here. The city is already working on this. This has been approved, it's done. So we're gonna have an entry where we can have deliveries, trash pickup for Sarah and the rest of the buildings. Then as we come out, we go south, you turn here, you go south. Now you have parking in here for trucks, for loading and unloading. You have an area for trash pickup, and you have a one-way narrow exit. If you look at it, it's only, I believe it's 10 or 12 feet, that's all it is. So we don't have a two-way big opening, there's a small entrance. So now if we go to the next drawing, let me just show you. So here's, oh, now the text doesn't let us see it. I don't know how we could, I can show you.
Look at the other screen, just look at the other screen that doesn't have the writing on, yeah.
Okay, so you
It's same
can see
thing.
it on the right.
So you can see there
Can,
that
can you use the cursor?
exit-
Can you use the cursor again? Just so we can all follow?
Okay,
There you
so
go, thank you.
Here you go.
Mhm.
So the exit is just a very narrow one-way out through to 16th Street. Then you have a big landscape area here, which has just one column sort of supporting the building, tying into the parking garage. Just a very sculptural two-story or three-story space that you're seeing there. And you're not seeing into the alley because you have a gate right there. If we can, I can't blow this up, but there's a gate here that will roll back behind the landscape area. So this is a very well-treated corner. And then you see here how the steps, they turn 90 degrees and sort of end the plaza, the elevated plaza that we have in front of the building. So that corner, Enrique has given a lot of thought to think that is sort of on thought.
The rendering
I think
doesn't
it's,
do it
the-
justice.
The rendering
Yeah,
doesn't do
I
it justice.
appreciate, Jose, but if you look at your rendering, there is a very wide space
Right.
that has a somewhat utilitarian metal gate in there. That's what I can see. And that's it. It
There-
looks like a dead sidewalk, and then you have the little vertical circulation for the garage, and then you have another maybe 24 feet of entrance exit to the
The
garage. So-
rendering is not doing justice to what
Okay.
you're physically seeing.
Right, so
The drawing is
unfortunately,
correct.
when we look at drawings, that's what we are
Yeah,
given.
the
right?
rendering doesn't do justice to the corner, because if you see the corner, it's all very well thought out, and, you know, it works with the amenities of the building, everything that it has to happen in that alley.
Great, thank you very much.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
May I, these comments have been very helpful and constructive, and I might suggest or request that maybe we do continue this till December. We can deal with some of these, for instance, how that alleyway is treated, show more graphically how it is screened, better pedestrian environment, some element of paying homage to the Hohauser architecture, as you suggest, as Mr. Novak suggests. You've seen the change to the facade with the addition of the Brise Soleil. Perhaps we can come back to you and satisfy the concerns that have been raised by a couple of the board members.
Okay, thank you very much.
Can I just add a note to that? Please make sure that the renderings are reflective of the landscape plans, because right now they're just not compatible.
Correct, correct, yeah.
But we would
Okay.
want, we'd want it
Thank
to
you.
be in December.
Yes, yes, okay. So, I don't know if we, no, Lindsay, did you want to say something? You were, okay.
I'll make
I was
a
going to
motion.
make the motion to continue.
Please,
That's,
thank you. I was going to ask for one, but yes.
I'll second
Okay.
Lindsay's motion.
Hi, Tori.
This is, so for a motion to continue.
continue
we
to a
need-
date certain December 16th.
To date certain December 16th, right, exactly. So, I think we should do can you call the roll?
I think if we can do all in favor, is anybody opposed to the continuance request?
Nope. I don't know.
I didn't hear a response still to the staff's issue of articulating the facade to be not just a gigantic box. To me, that's what it looks like with railings, and I didn't hear a response to that. I hear that it was sort of responded with the Brise Soleil, that there's gonna be some homage to the historic, but I still think there should be some addressing the staff concern about the articulation.
I think
added
they
to
heard that.
The continuation.
Yeah.
And I didn't hear that as the,
Oh, part of what he's
Possible-
going to be working on?
yes, yeah, that's all.
Okay. But I think it's been heard.
So see you back December 16th.
Thank you.
All right.
Right
Thank-
before Christmas.
Maybe that will be
You're-
a Christmas
y-
present.
You're our present.
Okay, moving right along to the next application, which is HPB 24-0616, formerly known as HPB 7424, or 1620 Drexel Avenue. This is an application requesting modifications to a previously issued certificate of appropriateness for the construction of a new two-story commercial building with an active roof deck. Specifically, the applicant is requesting approval for a new roof deck design inclusive of canopy structures and an outdoor bar counter, including a variance from the required hours of operation for the outdoor bar counter, and to modify the conditions of the final order. The applicant seeks approval for modifications to this previously approved two-story commercial building with a rooftop deck located at Lincoln Road and Drexel Avenue. Proposed changes include adding a canopy structure, outdoor bar counter, and revised operational conditions. Staff would note that there's another application that's been reviewed. I think it's been approved by the planning board last week for a neighborhood impact establishment based upon the size of the venue. So that's why the applicant is requesting modification of the hours of operation as part of this application. Staff supports the overall design, and the applicant's also requesting a waiver of on-site loading requirements, which staff supports, given this site's urban connectivity, which would result in closing the outdoor bar counter at 8 p.m. However, based upon the specific locations of this structure, the rooftop deck is actually about 140 feet from the nearest residential building to the south. Because of that, we're supportive of the applicant's requested variance to extend the hours until 2 a.m. As I mentioned previously, they're also subject to the conditions of the conditional use permit granted by the planning board last week. So we are recommending approval of the application, including approval of the variance for the operating of the outdoor bar counter. With that, I'll turn it over to the applicant for their presentation.
Thank you very much, Michael. Good morning, Historic Preservation Board. My name is Paul Savage with law offices at 200 South Biscayne Boulevard, Miami, Florida. I'm here on item in front of Debbie the other day, and so now I'm having my first Historic Preservation Board working with Michael. They really worked hard to overlap one another, so we had a seamless experience. So thank you so much, Michael, for working with us. So we're here this morning on a beautiful proposed restaurant on an important corner. Again, it's the southwest corner of Drexel, of Lincoln Road in Drexel. And if you could please pull up our presentation, and I'll go ahead and introduce our team. We've got a whole crew here today who on the line and available for any questions is our sound engineering consultant who prepared a report for the planning board and for this application, and his name is Andy Swardlow from Criterion Acoustics. I'm here together with my colleague Rob Alvarez, and my shareholder partner Michael Larkin is also here with us. And from Noble 33, who is the premier restaurant operator affiliated with this application, I have Dean Sakinakis, who is their COO, Chief Operating Officer, and has opened several of their locations and is going to tell us about their very special interiors and culinary offerings. So yeah, as Michael was telling us, we have a favorable staff recommendation. This is a culmination of a lot of work with two sets of staff, with Planning Board and Historic Preservation Board. I'll go ahead and jump right in. If we can, just to get our feet on the ground here for the neighborhood. Again, we're at Lincoln Road and Drexel. What is very unique to the site, and I want to go ahead and adopt all of the bullet point analysis set forth in the staff recommendation. This site is unusual in that the church is sort of an L shape wrapping around the site, so that we have the principal sanctuary fronting that has been historically restored, that is historic and has been restored, fronting Lincoln Road, and then there are offices, classrooms, and another chapel that wraps around to the south. And as Michael mentioned, this unusual configuration serves as an insulator to the residential to the south. If we can just go ahead and keep going. This is a photo of the existing site, and I know Michael said this, but I want to reemphasize it. We're not here on a new application this morning. This was already approved, and we are modifying a prior commercial building already approved here. We're just making some changes to the proposed use. But that's the condition that we have. And by the way, we have been in close contact with the city's capital improvements department in terms of integrating their work on the sidewalk. As we heard, they're closing down Drexel, And so we're, they're working with us to make sure that the elevations are seamless and the like. So this is going to be an exciting and beautiful area when this is all redone. And so this new project together with the city's capital improvement there is going to really complement one another. If you can go to the next slide, please. This is a beautiful rendering that we have showing this new restaurant, destination dining. The name of the restaurant is Medusa Mediterranean. Will be a modern Mediterranean flavor or, cuisine, if you will. And you can see these beautiful bronze and champagne tones that will activate Lincoln Road with, we don't have barely any sort of coverings or tinting on the glazing. That was very important. We've worked together with the Lincoln Road Business Improvement District to make sure that was sufficient. The entrance is on Drexel. The host station is on that corner with a spiral staircase and a striking and beautiful wine storage structure that goes up there. This is the historic community, Miami Beach Community Church that you know so well has been restored thanks to this board I think approximately 5 years ago. And you could see the proposed new restaurant nestled in there in this notch of the church property right on the corner. If you can go to the next slide, please. Again, we have a very exciting Noble 33 operator. They have sumptuous, interiors and locations in New York City, in West Hollywood, in London, which I'll show you. They pride themselves on being a culinary destination and not a nightclub, anything like that. Again, the city staff, the Business Improvement District, everyone's very sensitive about that issue. And I can assure you that this team has spared no expense in their designs and in their focus on the food and the restaurant itself. Some of the other locations I'll go through quickly. They're known for having celebrity clientele. I just read a review of the opening in Kansas City called 1587 Prime, which is a combination of the football jersey numbers of Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce. And I made a bet with Michael that I would not say the words Taylor Swift, but I guess I just lost the bet. So maybe she will come and visit this new location. So that's a beautiful high-end restaurant that they've opened there, as well as in New York City. I'll quickly go through those. This is a location in West Hollywood that we have featured in the presentation because we found some analogy with it to this situation where they're very close to residential, as well as being under the jurisdiction, my understanding is some very tough local boards out there, and they have operated this successfully and in harmony with the neighbors without any complaints or any drama whatsoever. They've been very good neighbors. The neighborhood has been very happy to have them there. If we can go through the next slides. This is just a photo of the Medusa Mediterranean in the Meatpacking District in New York City. As you can see, it's a gorgeous, beautiful place to dine and to gather. And they are very, very proud that they were named as Yelp's #1 best restaurant in New York City for 2024. So they have a lot of great reviews and press. These are some of their offerings. Beautifully presented, very, very high-end offerings and clientele. This is another site. You can see the gorgeous ceiling treatment there and the lighting, the interior landscaping, all of that is just fantastic. And now we also have a local location here, Sparrow Italia, Wynwood, in the city of Miami, Wynwood neighborhood. Go to the next slide, please. This is my favorite color scheme here is the one in London, Sparrow Italia in the Mayfair in London. also a gorgeous high-end destination. Now, at this time, I'd like to ask Dean Sakanikas, I've been practicing that. Dean, if you could come up and give us a little rundown of Noble 33, your other openings, locations.
Certainly, thank you. Good morning, everyone. As mentioned, my name is Dean Sakanikas, and I serve as the Chief Operating Officer for Noble 33. Our group creates hospitality-driven restaurants that bring together exceptional ingredients, thoughtful design, and genuine human connections. Our portfolio, as mentioned, includes Toca Madera, our modern Mexican flagship with locations in Scottsdale, Las Vegas, Houston, and soon to be in Miami. Sparrow Italia, as mentioned, here in Mayfair, as well as, here in Wynwood. Creates a lively Italian dining experience, right, steering away from the Club Restaurant theme where, I don't know if everyone is familiar with the concept, but we pride ourselves on the overall experience. Next, we have, as mentioned, right, Casa Madera. It's our nod to Mexican coastal cuisine with locations in Toronto, not just in West Hollywood. And as mentioned, 1580.
Excuse me, how much time do you need?
6 minutes.
Okay, I'll give you 5. Yeah, you got to keep this going a little faster. 5 minutes.
All right, we'll pick it right up.
Thank you.
Thank you, through the chair.
To cut right into it, right, with Medusa extending the same vision as we celebrate the flavors and lifestyle of the Mediterranean. Our first location, as mentioned, brought tremendous accolades to us, right? And what we want to do here and continuing building the brand is creating that exciting experience for Miami. What we do with our concepts is we create restaurants that locals love and travelers seek out. What we want to continue to create is a truly exciting part of the revitalization of Lincoln Road and bring more vibrant culinary landscape to the city where locals love to visit. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Dean. Okay, Rob, we've had our marching orders from the chair. We're going to go ahead and click through here. I did want to give a very, very quick reminder to the board that we've got a lot of really exciting new things happening. There's the Infinity assemblage that's been put together. We just got approved the Superhuman Museum, but the Planning Board, which is a modern art museum with both mainline traditional artwork hanging on walls together with also very modern interactivity and modern attraction themes. I appeared before this board on the Nice Guy, which is, as you know, mid-century modern Italian themed restaurant. They're in permitting and building right now. Exciting. Go ahead, Rob, and we'll go ahead and pull through here. Oro Mila is very similar to this application. The Padel courts were just approved by the city on top of their parking deck. Rob, go ahead. And we come around the horn here to Medusa Mediterranean, this application. Andres Carne de Rez, award-winning. Jamaj is putting a restaurant, open-air restaurant at the top. And of course, the 1600 that we just went through, which apparently, has some work to do, but eventually I think they'll pull it together, and that'll be a beautiful new facility and interaction. And as I mentioned, the city has closed that part of Drexel. Go ahead, Rob. We'll go through the application as Michael summarized. We're modifying a prior condition. Because of the Drexel, we need a waiver to permit on-street loading, as well as the variance to permit operation of the rooftop until 2, which we went through at length at Planning Board. The staff gives a positive recommendation on the application with conditions that we accept. Go ahead, Rob, and we'll. Go ahead, Rob. We'll go through here now. This is the first floor site plan. You'll see that the principal entrance is on Drexel. Debbie Tackett and the other team made sure that we had double vestibule doors, and we're subject to testing that there's no escape of noise through there. The back of the house is really 50% or more is the back of the house there. Everything is fronting Lincoln Road. Again, the host station on that iconic corner is going to be beautiful. Go ahead, Rob, we'll go to the next one. Second floor site plan, again, back of the house to the south, and the restaurant. Go to the top floor, Rob, please. So here also, again, we've pulled out and highlighted the back of the house because it's masonry and walls and everything else that's going to insulate to the south where we have the residential. Go ahead, Rob, we'll go through. Again, this is a rendering of the southern elevation, masonry closed off everything will be focused interior and to the front. Go ahead, Rob. We'll just click through here. There's other similarly situated applications, Carne de Res, Mila, the Albion, also to 2 a.m. is permitted. Go ahead, Rob. And this is back to West Hollywood, where we're very close to residential there with no complaints. There's the spacing that Michael mentioned, 128 feet to the property line. It's more like 140 that Michael said to the actual structure. So we have this insulating properties, very unusual to the site, a special condition. So we don't think there'll be any noise issue. Planning board has conditions that are very tight on us and also subject to monitoring. Go ahead, Rob. We'll go through. These are the other locations. They don't have the similar buffering that we do. We think that we're in good shape here. Go ahead, Rob. And this is we have a sound study in the file. Our sound engineer was tasked with to do a study that said everyone is watching the World Cup on the roof at the same time, and they all say "Goal" as loud as they can. And he measured that it would not exceed the ambient decibels in the neighborhood, based on the study that's in the file in his testimony. He's also available on Zoom if you have questions. I'll go ahead and just go through here with my time expiring.
Okay, another
Yep.
minute?
Yeah, another
You get
minute.
your 6, okay.
All right.
There you go.
I hope you're appreciating the new pace here. And
I am. I'm worried if I hadn't given you that.
yeah, right. Yeah, very good. So we do have an extensive sound study as well as the engineers on Zoom and available. But as I point out here, really the punchline of it all is that there's no sound that will be audible within 100 feet, and certainly not above. There's a baseline of activity. You know, it's not zero, but we will not exceed that baseline with the restrictions that planning board put on us. Go ahead, Rob, and we do have our architects here. We have our design team here if you have any questions. But I just will quickly show the renderings of the top. I want to remind the board that this rendering here, we are a little concerned that the board may think it's see-through to the south, but that's really just a reflection of a mirror. There's multiple walls, bathrooms, kitchens, masonry, et cetera. So I didn't want you to think that. Please go to the next slide. This is again looking south. This is really the brief for them was a walled garden. So this is amply landscaped with vegetative buffering for visual, from the pedestrian perspective. Okay, and these beautiful booths. I mean, I'm definitely looking forward to being there with a pergola structure there on the roof. And if you can go to the next slide, we have some of the vegetation. You can see the buffering there. We're going to have palms principally. Next slide. The Lincoln Road bid is here. They love the project. They think it fits right in. It's compatible, beautiful, and will complement the other restaurants along Lincoln Road. And that, I'm coming around the bend here, another beautiful one, another beautiful rendering. We're all here if you have any questions, and we respectfully request your favorable action on the application together with staff's conditions as proposed. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much for getting through that in record time.
Okay.
And even getting extra time. Somehow our timekeeper didn't give you the extra minute.
Sorry, Mr. Chair.
It's okay, it's okay. I count on you, Nick, But anyway, so are there any questions for the applicant? Let me go down the line. No. Haskell, I'm assuming that's no. And Mitch? Go for it.
When will construction recommence?
Well, so we are under permitted construction now. Now this is going to change the permitting process a little bit. I don't, Mr. Novick, I don't think I can answer, but time is money. And so we are amending, as soon as we get these approvals, we're going to be amending the permits. And we were, even this morning, talking with Capital Improvements about how the new road is gonna interact with our curb. So we're actively working.
Okay.
How is the road going to allow you to actually get in there to build your building? Doesn't look like there's going to be an access for you, either on Lincoln or on Drexel.
Right.
It's going to be very interesting.
All right, Elizabeth?
No, so could you please go over how is your loading plan? Because you were asking for the waiver of the off-street parking, so what are you proposing instead? Or because I think the presentation didn't show that clearly.
Okay. So because of the position of the restaurant together with the new configuration on Drexel, so the actual text of the order that you're voting on, that Michael put together, it says that the required 2 off-street loading spaces shall be waived and provided in the commercial freight zones along Drexel Avenue, 16th Street or Pennsylvania Avenue, in a manner to be reviewed and approved by the parking department and staff consistent with the certificate of appropriateness and/or directions from this board. So we have a couple of on-site existing city loading areas. It's not depicted yet today, so.
Do you mind pulling up the plan? Because I know that since Drexel is becoming pedestrian, one part is be blocked, but I think you are on the side. that's it.
Absolutely.
And if you could just show us, I would appreciate it.
Yeah, sure. We go to the first floor site plan. I hope it goes off the site sufficiently. It looks like it does depict Drexel, but it does not go sufficiently off the site. Just go to here. We'll go to this aerial here, Elizabeth, to address your concerns.
Please use the cursor to explain your points. Okay, perfect.
Great. So Rob, if you can point over to Pennsylvania, is one of the potential loading zones to come through. It could be along Drexel. I believe there is a loading zone to the south of the closed area on Drexel, which is probably, I think that's going to be my answer, even though Pennsylvania is contemplated by the order, as well as 16th Street. I think that there are loading zones on Drexel to the south and prior to the closure area of the city.
Can you show us the back of the house and where is the access to the back of the house entrance where all the,
Okay, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Good morning, Adrian Dubkowski with Kimley Horn. I'm the traffic engineer on the project, offices at 2 Alhambra Plaza in Coral Gables. There's currently an existing loading zone on 16th Street east of Drexel, so that could be used. Also, Drexel, when it's being reworked with the city's project, there will be a cul-de-sac provided there, so the trucks will be able to turn around within that cul-de-sac and then pull into a loading zone that would be assigned on Drexel Avenue.
Thank you.
Any other questions for the applicant? Lindsay, no? No, okay. So now do we have board, any disclosures? No disclosures, no disclosures. Let's open public hearing.
Is there anybody in chambers here to speak on this application? There's nobody presently online with their hand raised.
Good morning, Chair, members. All I can say is, when can we get this done? We are so excited that this whole east side of Lincoln Road is going to be elevated between the capital improvement project, what's happening with the SAS residential, what's happening on the 400 block. This is just another added elevation to the revitalization of Lincoln Road. So the sooner we can get this going, the better. And we're extremely supportive of this. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, or are we still, whatever, hello again.
Welcome back.
Thank you. Again, I'm still Julie Isaacson, and I'm still here speaking on behalf of the Miami Design Preservation League Advocacy Committee. 1620 Drexel Avenue, MDPL position. We support the project, subject to staff recommendations. We appreciate that this development will bring activation and investment to Lincoln Road. However, We have specific concerns regarding the proposed rooftop canopy structure. We strongly urge that the rooftop canopy be designed and screened to ensure it's not visible from the street level. Across the street, the board previously approved a rooftop canopy structure that is very visible and overpowers the contributing structure. Additionally, we encourage the applicant to ensure that the building design allows for adaptability and potential future conversion to alternative uses should the restaurant concept not succeed. Given the substantial 20,000 square foot footprint, the building should be designed with flexibility to accommodate multiple tenants or alternative commercial uses without requiring significant structural modifications. Thank you.
Thank you very much. With that, we are closing, we have still nobody online, so closing the public comment. Is there anything additional that the applicant would like to mention, rebut? Other restaurants you visited, other things places you'd like to eat, it's just before lunch, you have many, you clearly have many options in mind. If you have anything to add, please.
Thank you so much. So the details of that structure is in the order to be worked out in accordance with staff. So they will have a watchful eye just to respond to that concern. We are concerned and staff is concerned. It's in the order.
Thank you. And Michael, you're okay with that? Obviously, staff is okay with being able to kind of
Yes.
make sure that everything's tucked into the frame and not,
Right,
sticking
and we
out.
want to make sure they have actual living landscaping, because I've seen some
Exactly.
other projects that have fake plants up there, so we advise them, make sure they have real plants
Right.
for screening, and we have also discussed with them previously, they had more structures, facing Lincoln Road, they were more obtrusive, they removed those, so they have been working to accommodate that.
Perfect, okay, all right, thank you. So with that, now we're at the final stage of either board member comment or a board member proposal of a motion or whatever. Anybody want to start?
If no,
I'm going to suggest we should have two motions on this, one for the certificate of appropriateness and one for the variance.
One for the variance, yes. Mm-hmm.
okay, if no one has any comment, I'll make those motions.
Okay, why don't you start, we usually start with the.
The C of A first,
certificate
yes.
of appropriateness, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay. Motion for the certificate of appropriateness is my motion,
As per staff
as
recommendations.
per staff's conditions.
I second that.
Seconded?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Okay, and now a motion to approve the variance. Is there a second?
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes 7-0. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll go faster next time.
You're welcome. I look forward to seeing you at one of these places. I know, but just all those restaurants.
So moving along to the next application is HPB 25-0667, 121st Street. An application has been filed requesting modifications to a previously issued certificate of appropriateness for the partial demolition, renovation, and restoration of the hotel building, the total demolition of an accessory cabana structure, the construction of ground level and rooftop additions, one or more waivers, and a variance to relocate signage to a non-street facing facade. Specifically, the applicant is requesting to expand the scope of the previously approved demolition. Since 2021, the Historic Preservation Board has approved multiple applications for the renovation, redevelopment of the subject hotel property. The initial approval on June 15, 2021, authorized partial demolition, restoration, and new ground level and rooftop additions. Subsequent approvals expanded the scope on November 12th of 2024 to include full demolition and reconstruction of the porte cochere due to structural issues, and on May 13th of this year, to allow additional demolition of the south and west facades on all floor plates as part of the ongoing restoration project. The subject property is a 1950 post-war modern hotel designed by Albert Annis. Now, following discovery of major structural deficiencies, specifically as noted in the applicant's request or application, the absence of piles, weak concrete, and unsafe slab conditions, engineers determined that safely retaining the full height of the north facade was infeasible. The building official concurred with that assessment and recommended the demolition of the top 3 floors to reduce wind loading and prevent collapse, while preserving the lower 4 floors of the north facade for restoration. The project will still reconstruct the building consistent with the 2021 approval while maintaining the historically significant north facade design. Given the safety risks, prolonged vacancy, and the project's benefit to the surrounding historic district, staff supports the expanded scope of demolition. Staff also recommends extending the previously granted waiver under section 2.12.8 of the city code, allowing the existing non-conforming floor area height, setbacks, and parking credits to remain, as the structure meets the multiple preservation criteria reflected in the architectural significance and contribution to Miami Beach historic character. So we are recommending approval based upon the structural deficiencies noted in the applicant's request. And also want to add that the applicant has done their best to try to proceed with measured demolition. They didn't come to the board, asking for this demolition all at once. It was only after repeated investigations that they were sort of forced upon this route. So we are supportive of the applicant's intent to still restore the building and reconstruct it as approved back in 2021. I'll turn it over to Mr. McDowell for his presentation.
Excuse me, folks, I need to recuse myself from this item. I've spoken with the city attorney, Michael, and the chair, because we have litigation which has been and was amicably resolved, so I'm going to step out.
Welcome. Thank you.
For the record, my name is Carter McDowell, Bills in Sunburg, 1450 Brickell Avenue. I have Nick Noto, my colleague, here with me. We have our structural engineer, Yusuf, and our architect of record, Revolto's here also. The code requires, from past, having been here multiple times now, there was litigation, as you just heard. The litigants involved were Satai and the condominium association and one of the major owners. And Mr. Novick was also one of the plaintiffs in that litigation. I'm required by code to describe that because we did amicably resolve it, and that's why he's not participating. So with that, I would say that this is both a complicated and simple application, I think. As you heard, as we continue to implement the previous approvals, and as you've read, I think, the building began to have very significant violations and actually move. So our structural engineer shut the job down because we were very concerned that there could be a collapse. And of course, we were at that point at the beginning of hurricane season with a very weak building. We have been all lucky that we haven't had a hurricane. Let us keep that record going. But the engineers stopped the job. We did additional testing. This building, every time we look at it, gets worse than we thought it was. And so his conclusion was we really couldn't safely maintain the full 7-story height of the front facade, which we had committed to you that we would try to do. He has recommended, and most importantly, the building official has already approved his recommendation and concurred in his recommendation that we really need to take that front facade down to save the bottom 4 levels of the original structure, which we are in the process of doing. We have been if you've been by the site, we have been implementing his order since it was issued in July. We did, as the code asks us to do, we did file an after-the-fact C of A request. But particularly with hurricane season upon us, we really needed to reduce the weight and the windage of that facade, lest we should get a storm or have other issues. And of course, there's almost 0 setback with this building along a public right-of-way, which enhances the need for safety. And so the building official approved that demolition, And we're here effectively to conform the C of A to what the building official's ruling is and to move forward. As Michael correctly said, you will see the original project that you have approved. We are not changing it. It's just, in effect, means and methods responding to the terrible structural condition of this building. And we hope to not see you again until we, until we get this building built. We're here to answer any questions you may have, but in the interest of time, we're going to be here to answer questions and stop.
Great, thank you very much. Board members, are there any questions for the applicant at this point? No? No, right? No.
Just to
Yes,
clarify, you're basically demolishing and rebuilding the same.
We will preserve the bottom 4 floors of the front facade.
Right.
The building board has already approved the removal of the rest of the structure. It was just the north facade that we were to keep. It's been determined we really can't safely keep that 7-story facade, so we will preserve the bottom 4 floors.
Seeing no more, no questions, are there any board disclosures? Any disclosures? No? Okay, no, okay. Can we open it to public hearing?
There's nobody online with their hand raised.
Receiving a PhD in Fine Arts from the Tokyo University of the Arts, and his practice includes welding, milling, and lathe work, creating kinetic sculptures by combining scrap materials such as metal and bicycles. He has completed over 20 large-scale public art sculptures. And now we move into the proposed location for the sculpture. This work would be fabricated in Japan and installed on site in the park's north end central juncture, with a projected installation date of April 2026. This location has been shared with both capital improvement projects and our parks departments. The other half of the artist collective involves structural engineer Jutaro Sekita. As such, the artist has submitted engineering drawings that took into consideration safety requirements, foundation design, structural considerations, and design wind speed. Overall, the steel framework will receive a full hot dip galvanizing to protect the exterior as well as interior of all hollow sections. This layer can suppress red rust formation for up to 20 years. The structure is trusted for its high safety and durability, meeting standards similar to those required, again, for public playground equipment. The structure has considered drivetrain and mechanical safety of the piece, as well as access and structural safety. Additionally, the stairwell is designed with a narrow width to discourage ascension with carrying large objects.
And if I may add, we gave feedback to the artists to add some type of locking system at the beginning of the stairs and also at the top of the landing, like a door with a lock as well for evening when the park closes to avoid any unwanted guests after park hours. This item was also presented to the Flamingo Park Neighborhood Association on August 4th. It received a unanimous approval. They were very excited. You have to keep in mind that the park is different from all the parks that we have. It's utilitarian. It's got swimming, tennis. It's very active, and I feel that this work really represents the vibrancy of the park. And again, due to our Art in Public Places ordinance, this item, if approved today, will go to City Commission again for approval, and is slated to open sometime beginning in the spring, again, of 2026. And this concludes our presentation.
Great, thank you very much. Are there any questions? Randy?
Does this subject to the same fall zone requirements as a playground, and how is that being handled? Because they're up in the air, which I assume you have to meet the standard fall zone requirements for the surface underneath the structure and playground.
It would be enclosed, is what I mentioned. We gave feedback to the artists, so what you're seeing at this rendering, it'll have a mesh enclosure through the whole way down through the stairs as well.
But the stairs are accessible, open. The stairs are open.
The stairs will also, we gave them feedback to cover that as well.
When you say cover, you
I'm
talking?
not sure it's different than a playground that has stairs that you have to provide a fall zone around the stairs.
You're talking about the surface of the ground,
Yeah,
right,
you have to
Randy?
have a rubberized surface so that if a child falls, they don't fall on ground or
Understood.
concrete.
Mhm.
And it looks like you're placing it in the grass area in the center of the circle.
That's correct. It's on the side of the circle.
Okay.
Here. Oops. You
But it's
see?
not requiring any fall zones around it.
This is the first time that we're hearing of that, but we do take your feedback and we can add
Okay,
that.
okay, that's normally done either with a synthetic turf or a rubberized surface, but
Correct.
you have a depth required by law to keep that zone around the structure.
We can add that.
Okay.
Just on that point, can you go back to, you have great images of two other pieces that he did. Yeah, those two. So I guess the one on the left, to your point, Randy, does not have a fall zone on it, but it's kind of roped off. The one on the right might, I don't know what that surface is, but it might. But I think you're talking about the one on the right being completely enclosed when you go up. That's kind of what you're,
You suggested it was a mesh, and I'm asking. You suggested it was a mesh, and I'm asking you what type of material that
It
is.
would be the same, if you please, PJ, if you could please keep the presentation up during the discussion. Thank you. So if you see the landing part where the bicycle is, and I can't zoom in,
Well,
but there is like a,
there's vertical pickets on there,
Yes.
although not depicted on the image on the screen, but in the plans. Going up the stairway from the ground, there's a one landing, and then you need to go traverse another.
Yes.
Looks like a ship's ladder. The rises and treads, they're open. I could imagine the fire department giving you an enormous headache.
if I may, I mentioned that we gave direction to the artist to enclose this similar to the landing area, to go all the way down, to ensure that nothing occurs like what you're mentioning.
Yeah, I'd still like to understand what material that is. Is it going to appear invisible from far away, or is it?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
We had the same thoughts.
Okay, and, the corrosive environment we live in, I could imagine this being a maintenance nightmare.
The parts are made out of regular bicycle parts. As you know, these artists are Japanese, which is also an island, and they are used to being in that type of climate of salt air. So we've addressed all of these things, and I think you have something else to add.
Sure, maintenance was an important consideration and something we stated from the initial call to artists. So this would just require regular bicycle parts for repair, so it wouldn't require any specialized sort of care. So we are, thinking about how to include this as a part of our annual, 10-year maintenance plan for significant restoration.
Yeah, and what I'm especially concerned with is closing it off to those in the evening who might otherwise want to use this. I don't want to see a gate around it with padlocks or a chain link fence.
No, it wouldn't be that. What we suggested to the artist was to, if you see the landing area, to do a door that you can close and lock, and then also do like a gate type thing at the beginning of the stairs, so that parks employees can lock it. We need to secure the safety
Yeah,
after park closure.
all right.
For me, it was closed at night, people can still walk through it.
They can walk through, but
on the mic, Ray,
facilities-
on the mic, if you have it, on the mic.
Oh, sorry.
I'm just saying that's a walkway, and it's open 24 hours. I mean.
Correct, but
You just
staff-
can't go into the grass areas of the park, but you can cut through. So that's sitting right there, and so I understand their concern is that people go, oh, look, let's just climb up that. It's right by the walkway. So I can understand why there is a concern about that.
Sure, and it would be closed just like any other of the facilities in the park.
Do you have a service agreement in place? A service agreement to maintain it, because it's not
So
part
as
of
part
your
of the
cost,
art,
right?
and nice to meet you, Mr. Mayor. As part of Art in Public Places, we have maintenance. So we do annual maintenance for all our works. We actually prepare them and do our regular maintenance for Art Week. And then we also have a 10-year master plan for all of the works in Art in Public Places. So they all go through a major conservation every 10 years. We don't do, that is what would be the service plan.
This is a mechanical installation, so
Understood.
it's going to need more than typical stationary sculpture. And that's why
Understood.
they're recommending that you provide, that you enter into a service agreement with a mechanical company that will service this. So I'm just asking, it's not shown in your overall cost of 150,000, correct?
That cost is to produce the work, not to maintain it. We have
Not
our
to-
own Art and Public Places
So
funding for
there's
that,
another cost added to this beyond.
as with all of our works, because we have to, due to the climate of the salt air, we have to maintain all the works.
Do you have any idea what this service agreement is going to be?
No, but as my colleague Oscar mentioned, it's made with regular bicycle parts, so it's something that is easily accessible. We don't have to make any new orders to produce any type of materials that are not easy to find.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
My question has been asked.
Oh, Elizabeth's question has been answered. Lindsay has no questions. And I don't have any questions. I'm very impressed by this project and interested in how it will play out. I just can't wait to see it move. So, but with that, we close the applicant questions. Any disclosures? No, no disclosures. Now we open it to public hearing.
There's nobody online with their hand raised?
Okay, and there's nobody in the audience who has indicated that they're wishing to.
Moving right along, is the app adapted for nightclub use? Staff supports the overall proposal, recommends refinements to ensure.
Tom Court was built in 1915, I believe, or 1925, but still, it's the oldest building in our neighborhood, and this looks to me like two stacked shipping containers next to it. It doesn't, to me, pay at all any attention to the fact that it's next to the most historic building in the neighborhood. Just as I said, to me, it looks like just two shipping containers stacked on top of each other, and I really don't like the exterior, the way it's currently designed. Now, I noticed inside, you're going to have like a brick oven pizza or whatever. What are the hours of operation going to be?
We're not looking to change the hours. The current hours are from 8 to 5.
Are from what?
8 to 5.
8 o'clock it starts?
8 p.m.
Okay, I thought you were later than that, because I was going to say, like, it'd be nice to be able to go in and get some pizza. There's none in our neighborhood.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Would you like to comment on the staff opinion of its location next to the historic building?
Well, it's a pretty modest structure right now. There's really not much architectural detail. We wouldn't want to have it create like a false sense of architecture or create something that would be mislead someone to think that this was an historical element. So we were okay with going with a more modern direction, and so it doesn't compete with the historic building next door.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Michael. All right, with that, we will go to disclosures. Any disclosures? No, no. No? Okay. Then we will open it to public hearing.
There's nobody online with their hand raised. Anybody in the audience to speak on this
No,
application?
nobody in the audience? No, okay.
There's one person now with their hand raised. Ron Bloomberg.
Hi, Ron. Do you swear that the testimony you'll give in this proceeding is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I am trying to, am I on mute right now, or can everybody hear me?
No, we can hear you. Do you so swear?
Yes, I do. I'm sorry. I missed the swearing again. Would you mind repeating it?
Thank you. You have 3 minutes.
Yes, I am the owner of the Palm Court building. My apologies for not being able to be at the hearing today. I was unable to get some of the material until very recently, and having studied it, I wanted to say that I'm generally in favor of the facade improvement that they're doing and the restaurant improvement, but I did want to bring to the board's attention a very important, I think, a very important and particular fact, that a material element of the occupancy load of this property is predicated upon an exterior pair of fire-rated doors that lead directly onto my property, immediately to the east of this. And there is no current agreement or access agreement, lease agreement, license agreement, or anything in place. And the set of plans that have been submitted show an occupancy load that is entirely predicated upon this access point out of the space. It was just something that I noticed because with the application and with the planning department's approval suggesting that certain items were satisfied, including life safety issues, I fail to understand how they can be satisfied if the access that this establishment is relying upon is significantly reliant on the access through my property, where there is no agreement in place at this present time, and nor has there been one in at least a decade. There is a pair of doors there, and the doors lead onto my property, but we have not pulled a permit yet to block that access, and that's in the process right now. So I just wanted that to be brought to the board's attention as they're getting ready to approve something with a particular occupancy load and references in the set of plans that have been submitted, which are not entirely accurate. And if you look at your SPD plan as juxtaposed to the survey of the property, you'll see that the bold-faced words on the survey says adjacent building are intentionally omitted from the SPD plan. And it also looks as if Liberty Avenue is immediately adjacent to the property, where it is not. I don't know if it's within the purview of this board to comment on that or to perhaps give the staff or the planning department some direction as to the accuracy of this, but I wanted to go on record having made that comment as a materially affected adjacent property owner.
Thank you.
I could try to clarify for the members of the board. I see there's a full board there.
Can we respond? So I'll let the applicant respond because I had no understanding based upon the plan submitted that there's any egress through a neighboring property. So I'd like the applicant to bring up the floor plan and let us know if he is aware of what the caller is noting.
Sure. I've never heard from Mr. Bloomberg before. I wish he had reached out to me before today's hearing, so this doesn't, obviously expend the time of this board. Some of the things he's saying is accurate, some of it is inaccurate. One, Liberty Avenue, no, is not 10 foot away from the property. That's just how it's shown on the survey, and it's designated with the little squiggly line here that it's further down. This property, not unlike Mr. Rosenberg's property and perhaps some of the others, does use an alleyway as part of its egress, but not like what Mr. Rosenberg says. It's Bloomberg. Thank you. What he said is, this application is not predicated on using that exit. That's simply an exit that has existed in the life safety plans of this building before we've gotten involved. It's not even dependent on that exit. The minimum width of egress is provided entirely through the front. So if Mr. Bloomberg's position is that that's not allowed, I mean, absolutely, we'll close that off and have the applicant egress through the front because that's totally allowed. But something I wanted to clarify is this isn't even under the purview of this board. That is under the purview of PV and the fire department to review those plans. If it's a condition of this board historically that we close that, I think we're happy
So I'd
to
also
do
like
that.
to know that there's an application that's pending before the planning board. So the planning board is going to also review the operation of this because they're modifying the site plan. So any sort of operational conditions should be under the purview of the planning board. But I think now we can state, I believe that the ingress and egress should be contemplated based upon coming in and out only within the property itself, not through neighboring properties.
Absolutely.
So, and the applicant's agreeing upon that?
Yes.
Agreeing to that?
Yeah, I was not aware that there was not a cross-access agreement, so that obviously needs to be remedied before it goes to any board.
And also, just to add to that, so these, as was mentioned, this has been in operation for decades, and based upon their existing BTR, I believe the occupancy is around 550 people, so it is a relatively high occupancy load.
It says 399 on the plan, on A000.
That's what they're showing now, but the current approval
Right.
is for 550.
So with 399 as the proposed occupancy, do they have the appropriate number of egress?
That's something that this board doesn't review, that's up to the fire department.
Right, so should we predicate any approval from this board?
No, I would, no, that's not, now that that's been raised to our attention, because this application is pending before planning board, I believe it's something that should be addressed at the planning board level.
Okay. So can you review for us, go ahead. Lindsay.
Well, I mean, so if the egress is not appropriate at the front, and if the side egress doesn't exist, then that changes the front facade, and that changes what we're approving. So I think that's
Right,
the
I was
question that
gonna-
John's asking.
I was going there, it also changes the interior layout, and I was gonna ask if we are approving the interior layout, or if we're just approving, exactly, we're just approving that facade, and if it does need to be another door on that facade then we'll be, we'll be.
They may have to come back if they have to expand the openings along the facade.
Okay.
We don't.
But it looks like there is sufficient space at the front of the building and along
Yeah.
the west side, so.
Yeah. Okay. Mike, please. Yeah, okay.
Just the west side is an entire wall.
Right.
That goes to
Yes.
Valero gas station.
Yes.
So, excuse me. When you did your life safety plan for the building department permit application, the two doors, the two openings that go to 23rd Street, that was enough to evacuate your customers? You met the requirements?
Correct. There's enough width along 23rd to satisfy that number.
All right, so we are closing public comment, and we're sliding right into board member comment. Any comments from the board? No? No? Yes.
Comment about the exterior, that's all.
Thank you, Ray, yes. So would anybody propose a motion? To approve? No. Yes? No?
I'll make that motion as per staff's conditions.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second?
Thank you. Mike?
All in favor? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes 6-1. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I would suggest we take the next application, then maybe take a lunch break, because the next one should be pretty short. This is for 231st Street, HPB 25-0661. An application has been filed requesting a certificate of appropriateness for the after-the-fact installation of an artistic mural. The 1936 Art Deco building, designed by Henry Hohauser, a lot of Hohauser buildings on the agenda today, was originally a two-story apartment structure, later expanded in the 1990s with rooftop and three-story additions. Over the years, the Historic Preservation Board approved multiple renovations, including new canopies and outdoor seating along Washington Avenue. The applicant is now seeking an after-the-fact certificate of appropriateness to retain an artistic graphic applied to the circular stair tower that was installed without prior approval. The graphic will be modified to remove commercial references. Staff finds that the artwork, located on a later addition and well set back from the street, does not detract from the building's original design and is compatible with the existing outdoor dining environment. Therefore, staff has no objection to approving the approved modified graphic. I'll turn it over to the applicant for the presentation.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the board and staff. Nicholas Rodriguez, 200 South Biscayne Boulevard, from the law firm Burkow, Riedel, Fernandez, Larkin, and Tapanez. As Michael mentioned, we are, and if we could please call up the presentation. Thank you, BJ. We are requesting an after-the-fact certificate of appropriateness for the really artistic graphics, but what they are is vinyl stickers that were added to the inside of these three windows on the central stair tower of the contributing Henry Hall Hauser building. What happened here is after a very long renovation process, they just didn't know they needed a separate certificate of appropriateness for the actual artistic graphic. They had one for the renovation, just they didn't know they needed a separate one. So just to give you some context, this property is located at the corner of First Street and Washington Avenue, a very prominent location, and they just completed at the beginning of this year a multi-million-dollar renovation and restoration of the building and opened as Le Grand Boucherie. And as I mentioned, during that process, which took very long and tens of millions of dollars, the building was in much worse shape than what they initially believed when they purchased it in 2020. They came to finishing touches and decorating the building, and they added these three really vinyl stickers that are, do qualify as artistic graphics to kind of complement the new outdoor dining terrace. So just really quickly on the historic background here, this was originally an apartment building developed by Henry Hohauser. In 1993, it was fused with a one-story commercial building on Washington Avenue, and that central feature, the kind of a rotunda feature, was added to the building. In 2008, it went through kind of a light restoration. It was the middle of the financial crisis, so they didn't address a lot of the mechanical, structural, electrical stuff. It was really more cosmetic. So the building functioned well between 2008 and 2020, but it was vacant at the time that our client purchased the property, and it was really in dire need of some significant repairs. So from 2021 through 2024 and to the beginning of 2025, they did a complete comprehensive renovation and restoration of the entire building, all systems, structural, electrical, mechanical, and you can see the vertical stair, the three windows in the lower left-hand image there, and they really just thought that adding an artistic graphic there was a complement to their interior and exterior design, and didn't mean to, circumvent any process that they were, supposed to go through. So here's a close-up of the graphic again, and you can see them in more detail. As Michael mentioned, staff has determined that the letter B and the word boucherie has a commercial connotation to it, so we have to remove that portion of it. We've already done that, so we have the stickers ready to go and install as soon as we obtain this approval. That's all we're really requesting today is an after-the-fact approval of this to complement the huge renovation and really saving of this building that happened earlier this year. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for the presentation. Any questions from board members? No? Yes, Lindsay.
Can you show again what it looks like without the, if you will, commercial sign? Thank you.
Okay. Assuming there's no more questions, are there any board disclosures on this item? No. Okay. And is there any member of the public who'd like to speak to this item?
Actually, I think Ron Bloomberg, do you still have your hand raised from the last application? Yeah, he lowered his hand, so no other public comment.
Okay. So there is no more public comment. Did you want to add anything?
Nope, just we're here happy to answer any questions you may have.
Great. All right, thank you. So can I have either comment or a motion from the board?
If there's no comment, I'll make a motion to approve the after-the-fact certificate of appropriateness.
Thank you. A second?
I'll second it.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Mitch is seconding it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you all very much. An easy one for once.
Yeah.
I think lunch is here. Would you like to take a 20-minute lunch break?
Yeah. Okay, 15, 20 minutes? Okay, Michael,
We just have-
Debbie would have only given us 5 at most, so you're giving us 20?
I'm more generous with the lunch break. So.
You are really generous, okay.
It's your first day.
I know, you won't feel like this in a few months.
Please take your seats. The meeting is about to begin. Remember to speak into the microphone, as this meeting is being recorded for public record. Please stand by. We are going on air in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back. We have one application left on our agenda today. This is for 336 Meridian Avenue, HPB 25-0663. An application has been filed requesting a certificate of appropriateness for the total demolition of one structure, the substantial demolition of one structure, the construction of a single-family home, and a variance from the minimum required setbacks. The applicant proposes an adaptive reuse and redevelopment of an historically significant property originally constructed in 1936 and designed by noted Miami Beach architect B. Kingston Hall. The project calls for the demolition of a non-historic rear structure originally added in 1948 by A.L. Klingbeil and the preservation of the primary facade and the north and south exterior walls of the contributing two-story structure fronting the street. The architect has proposed an innovative design strategy that preserves the character-defining street-facing elements while introducing a new elevated residence behind and within the retained walls. The historic walls will serve as an exterior garden enclosure surrounding a central open-air courtyard, maintaining the original spatial organization of the site. The new construction features a modern architectural vocabulary with varied materials, layered planes, articulation consistent with surrounding neighborhood scale, while achieving compliance with updated flood elevation requirements. Staff finds the proposal to be contextually sensitive and architecturally cohesive. Staff's principal concern pertains to the projected glass block balcony on the upper level, which extends 10 feet beyond the preserved facade and features a mirrored underside. As currently designed, this balcony may appear visually obtrusive from the street. Staff recommends the balcony height be reduced by approximately 4 feet and using a lightly reflective or matte material on its underside to soften its visual impact. The applicant is also requesting a variance to reduce the rear setback from the minimum required 14 feet to 4 feet. The variance is necessary to preserve the historic facade and courtyard while accommodating flood-compliant redevelopment. Due to the facade's deep front setback and the spatial requirements of the courtyard, the remaining developable area is constrained. Staff also notes that the proposed home would remain approximately 1,500 square feet smaller than the maximum allowed floor area for the property, and that the majority of the properties along Meridian Court feature similar reduced setbacks. These factors, along with the site's unique topographic and flood-related challenges, constitute special conditions that staff believes warrant the granting of a variance. However, staff does believe that the minimum setback should be increased to 5 feet, which is more consistent with other variances that have been approved with similar conditions facing an alley. With that, we are recommending that the application be approved, including the rear setback with a modification to a 5-foot rear setback, and are recommending approval in accordance with the draft conditions approval as noted in our staff report. I'll turn it over to the applicant for the presentation.
Good afternoon. Matt Amster with the law firm of Burkhow, Riddell, Fernandez, Larkin, and Tapanes. Offices at 200 South Biscayne Boulevard in Miami. Here today representing Kindred Fruit Properties, LLC, the applicant and owner of the subject property. The effective owners are actually here, Todd and Tiffany Engel, as well as we have our team, Renee Gonzalez, Kevin Regalado, Manuela Forno. We had a handout passed out to you. This is us addressing staff's concern about the balcony wall height. We'll go over this more. That should look familiar because I know we have been working with staff for quite a while and put that into packets that should have been delivered to you, but we wanted to make sure you just had a copy in front of you today. Renee and his team have worked very closely with Todd and Tiffany on this single-family home. We are in a multifamily area, but they are choosing to just have one unit, one single-family home in this area. Great care was taken to evaluate the existing structures. There is a 2-story contributing structure at the front and a 1-story non-classified and very much nondescript structure at the rear. Importantly, there's also this historic courtyard between the two buildings, and you'll hear more about that. Notably, both structures are significantly below today's flood elevation requirements and therefore are extremely subject and at risk if any habitable areas were there in a flooding event. While the option was there to seek and had been considered to seek full demolition, we felt that preserving and creating something innovative and resilient was the appropriate approach. And we've definitely worked closely with staff, Debbie before she moved on to planning board, and Michael since, and we appreciate all of that. And that, as I mentioned, has led to an agreement. Staff has suggested a lowering of the balcony. That's actually something we are already considering. It's in the handout before you, but we agree to staff's reduction of that wall height to 4 feet. We also agree with staff for the rear setback to increase it to the 5-foot setback. And with that, I just want to make sure that with staff's report and all of the other documents that have been submitted, those in Florida case law do constitute substantial competent evidence, as do all the other documents we've submitted, including our structural report. And staff, I'm sure, can vouch that the provisions of procedural due process have been met to notice this application, and also with today's public hearing, all of that will be met. And the essential requirements of law that are applicable here are you evaluating and staff's evaluation of the certificate of appropriateness criteria for demolition and design and variance, both under hardship and practical difficulty. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Renee. We do have a presentation, if that could be called up. Okay.
Thank you, Matt. I want to thank the staff, first Debbie and then Michael, for working with us very closely. I think that I continue to be reminded how great we have it here in Miami Beach. And I have served on the board and have met some of you in the process, and I respect tremendously what you do and am grateful for being here. I am also grateful to have incredible clients and incredible projects that vary tremendously. And this is by no means an exception, in the sense that it's in addition, well, it's not an addition, it's a new home to, I think of it almost as an addition, because I think the historic structure is so significant and requires such a delicate act of intervention that I think it's important to think of it and speak of it in relation to that, really. So I'll take you fairly quickly, although you've had a short day. I don't want to make it any longer than it needs to be, but I'll take you quickly through the presentation. And as Matt said, although we agree with the staff report, I do want to point out why we made the decisions we did in consideration so that the board can understand and consider the project fully. So as you know, this sits in the south of 5th District on Meridian Avenue. Meridian Avenue, as you can see from this 3D, is made up of primarily multi-family units, and as Matt mentioned, this site in particular allows for 16 units. Instead, again, the city's fortunate, I think, and I'm fortunate to have a client that wants to build a single-family house, which is quite unique. This is the existing structure, and you will see how we've addressed the historic structure, and in particular, I think the keyhole here has become something of a generator, really, for an inspiration for the project. As was mentioned, the existing building is well below base flood elevation, and you can see here where our new first floor will be is at the 18-foot height, the very top line you see on this drawing. We can be, NGVD is the blue line. That's the minimum required elevation for the new structure to be at. So
As a response to sea level rise, as a response to where BFE needs to be, we decided to take the approach that we were going to have this historic facade become essentially a wall to a garden, and step the project back considerably and away from it, so to give it a way to breathe and float above it and not touch it. Some of the items that you see on this list are essentially, let's say, benefits that we have. I mentioned already that this is a single-family home that's being proposed versus something that could require as many as 24 parking spaces. We are using the historic structure as a generator for the project. We are elevating the new project as a way to respond to the reality of our environmental world. And something that I'll speak of, especially when I show you some of the drawings that have to do with the variance, is this issue of the garden courtyard, which I think is extremely important as well. Here you see the original proposal, which essentially is a glass block volume that floats over the existing historic structure. And it is further felt, it's further made to feel like it's floating by having the underside of that volume to be reflective. This, which we are labeling as a revised design, is a design that is 3 foot 6 inches lower than what was originally proposed. Staff is asking that it be 4 foot. I'll just simply say that the reason it was 3 foot 6 is because there's an alignment between the top of the facade and the floor of the roof terrace. In other words, a railing is 3 foot 6, and we were bringing it down by the height of the railing. But if board feels that, so we would like to keep it at 3 foot 6. It's 6 inches, so obviously not significant. So we accept staff's recommendation, but that's the reason why we had it 3 foot 6 lower, and that's one of the things I wanted to point out.
And I just want to add that these renderings are not showing all of the existing trees. This area of Meridian has very many large trees and lots of foliage. There's a picture, I think, a few pages later that shows you, there we go. So while we're trying to emphasize the change in the balcony wall and the architecture itself, there's a lot of existing foliage that will screen and buffer this new addition, right? You can see how the ground level.
This is an actual photograph.
Yeah, the ground level preserved building will remain the focal point. Go ahead.
Is that sometimes?
So how much time would you like to have?
Oh, so
for your
sorry. Oh, my
presentation?
gosh. I'll speed up. I don't know. Give me whatever you can give me.
5 minutes and
5
we'll take
minutes
it from
is
there?
plenty, yes.
Okay.
Thank you. I'm sorry about that. I didn't realize.
It's okay.
Okay, so this is the entry point going through the portal. You see that the main stair of the house has and the artist James Turrell-like quality that really is inspired by the portal. This is this magical courtyard that you walk through if you're coming inside the home. And once again, the idea is to really step back the home from the existing facade, from the historic facade. Here you see an elevation, the existing photograph, side elevation. You start to see here the proposed structure and where the building area is, and I'll show you in a moment how far back we're stepping it back. But this is the courtyard, and I think I know there are some owners here that will likely speak that live immediately to the north. And we haven't had the opportunity, I think we reached out, but we haven't had the opportunity to speak to them directly. But I think it's important that they realize the effort we've made to address the landscape that exists and maintain that kind of landscape through a courtyard that is also the reason why we're requesting the variance. So I'll go through these fairly quickly. These are the floor plans. Essentially, the ground level is a really beautiful garden. Here you see the qualities of that garden. And then as you go up, you have living spaces, guest bedrooms. Essentially, the home towards the street is a series of bedrooms, and towards the back side of the house is more of the living spaces. This is the top floor, which essentially becomes the main living floor for my clients, and the roof terrace. The material that we've decided to use for the volume that floats over the historic home is glass block. I think that is an interesting choice for me because I like to work with materials that feel like they're a part of the place. And I have lived here in Miami Beach now for over 30 years, I think. And somehow I associate glass block very much to deco. These are all examples of buildings here and internationally that use glass block. And I think I would hope that the result is using the glass block in a very special way. The material on the underside of this element, which is in the drawing here in yellow, is meant to be a reflective surface. Now, staff has suggested that it be somewhat muted, that it be like an etched mirror, and we're in agreement with that. The sample that we have is the mirrored, and we're happy to share that with you, but we are fine in whatever the board requests that we do. The variance drawings are really important here, and this is a drawing that shows how many of the existing buildings are encroaching on the setback, including the building directly to the north, and how many of them, nearly 50%, have an encroachment similar or the same as we are requesting. Here you see a plan drawing and the hardship on why we are requesting this. You know, we're being sensitive, I believe, in pushing the building back away from the historic structure, and as a result, we need that extra space towards the back. Here you see it in section as well. You can see that we're essentially going back 23 feet 5 inches with the first 3 levels of the project, and we're only requesting 10 foot back. Again, we're fine with Michael's recommendation that it be 9 feet instead of 10. I think we've got 22
yeah,
seconds.
If we can have maybe 3 more minutes, we appreciate.
So when this comes up, can you just add 3 minutes?
So, thank you. And I just want, before Renee continues, you know, we are aware, I believe all of you did receive letters from the neighbors in the building to the north, and the vast majority of them are concerned about impacts to their views that the requested variance at the rear, at the alley, will provide. I want to make it clear that unfortunately there's no right to a view across private properties well established in Florida case law. No air and light also allowed, and that is something that, you know, while that is the law, however, you know, this entire project has not been internally focused. Renee and Todd and Tiffany have been aware of, are very aware of what's around us, and that has already been worked into the design. Go ahead, Renee.
Yeah, I think that, look, the bottom line is.
Can you turn the mic on? It doesn't seem to be on, maybe. Yeah, there you go.
Okay, sorry. I think that the bottom line is that we want to be sensitive to the neighbors, right? And I think that the approach we took from the beginning, although they I don't know to what degree they're aware that we've done this, is we are really wanting to maintain the courtyard quality that exists currently. And you see this drawing here. I think it's also consistent with the city's code requirement for homes, that you not have a structure that goes from the front setback all the way to the back without stepping back. I wish I had a pointer, so, but you understand what
You can use the cursor.
Oh,
on
I'm
the-
sorry. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, there you go.
So like basically, you know, according to the code for this site, we could build a mass, and instead we've decided to maintain the courtyard not only for our clients' entertainment, but also you can see here where the main balconies of this building next door is, which coincide precisely where we have positioned the courtyard. Also, as I was saying, I think that the city's single-family home code, which requires that, you know, you step back an elevation after a certain number of feet, is written for a reason. And I thought back at that when we were developing this, although it did not necessarily apply to this site. Here you see the existing courtyard. We call it the historic courtyard. And you see the new courtyard. You see that they're almost identical in size. Actually, we're slightly smaller than the historic. And precedents or courtyards that exist throughout. I guess we cut short, but we have a number in your package. You have a number of pages that show courtyards, and we all know how valuable and wonderful it makes these experiences. So I think that's all that I have for you. I'd be happy to take any questions.
Yeah, just to quickly conclude, you know, hopefully you can see that this is a purposely bold and a great example of thinking outside of the box in order to preserve the front historic structure, keep it the focal point, making sure that it shines, and only provide a single-family home on this property. We're maintaining the historic street presence of that building, the historic courtyard between the two existing buildings, and matching the context of the alley with our setback. We agree with all of staff's conditions, like we said, including the additional reduction of the balcony wall, if you so choose, the additional foot for the rear setback, the less reflective material under the new building. And we're here to answer any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Okay, with that, we'll have board questions for the applicant. Randy, would you like to start?
Yeah, thank you. One question is that the view into the keyhole to the courtyard is very transparent, very inviting. I assume, though, you're going to have some security. How is that working? Because I don't see anything on the inside or the outside that says gates.
Yeah, no,
which
we
changes
will.
the whole effect.
We will have a fence.
Fence?
At the sidewalk.
Oh.
There will be a fence. Let me show you. Well, it's actually here. Here you see it. Sorry. Here we go. Where's the?
It's on your rendering, it's on this rendering.
Yeah, and it's here as well. You can
Okay.
see where I have the cursor now. So there will be a fence. But yes, it is fairly transparent, and I think the
But
idea is.
even the rendering shows, I don't see a gate.
No,
I see-
the rendering may have sort of taken the liberty of not having the gate positioned in the closed position so that you could see the historic keyhole, but you can see it here in the floor plan. As a matter of fact, it's labeled.
So are they swing gates or sliding gates? or-
It's sliding gate
gates.
at the sidewalk here.
My feeling is that the street level, the street is very important in Miami Beach for anything residential. And to me, the addition says, I don't want to be the street out there. I'm going to put a wall up in front of my bedrooms. I don't understand. I don't understand blocking off the street from the house, even though it's a new addition. It seems to be totally contrary to what good urban design would say about an urban area. You want to see, I mean, you can still provide all the privacy you want to, but you even call it a wall. I would call it a 10-foot hand railing, but it's a wall.
The wall would be made out of glass block, so it has, and I think it's clear in the renderings.
Glass block is no different than a wall. I mean,
Well,
it's a wall.
it's translucent. We can also use a clear glass block in that instance. But, obviously, I thought you were going to say the opposite. To be honest, I thought you were going to say, why do you have so much transparency in? Because
No,
I
to me,
think
it's
that.
not transparent at all. It's, you're facing a street, but you're not facing a street. It could have been facing the alley and you would have got the same effect.
Are we speaking about the wall on the sidewalk? The sort of.
wall on the on
The
your new
fence,
addition?
let's call it, the fence?
Yeah, no, the wall on the new addition that you call a wall in front of the bedrooms.
Yeah,
Oh, I
hangs
see.
way over the building.
Okay.
One that you're saying, they said the staff, which I don't agree, should lower it 3 feet. To me, it should be lowered 10 feet. I don't understand
Well.
that mass, even in
Right.
proportion, when you look at the building, it's as big as the mass of the historic structure. It's completely overwhelming the building to a point, and it doesn't matter if it's glass or not. It's just scale-wise, that facade is almost as big as the historic structure, and there's nothing on that facade.
Okay, Randy, let me just step in here, because this is the time for questions.
Okay.
So you made a point,
Okay,
but maybe if
sorry.
you can either frame it as a question
Sure.
or,
I'm finished my question.
okay, you finished your questions, okay.
It's a wall, thank you.
Thank you. Because I'm hoping this is for clarification, and then we'll have public comment, and then you'll have a chance to respond to the questions or whatever you feel. So Ray, would you like to go next? Any questions?
No, I just have my comments, not questions.
Okay, all right. Please.
On V1, that balcony, that projection that you're showing on the balcony, that extends into the 5-foot front setback, correct?
No, that's within our setback. That's within the setback.
So it doesn't show the horizontal balcony on that V1.
Here, let's go to
There's
this.
an inclined portion of the structure.
I think you missed it.
Right, if you look
So
at that.
here you see where the front setback line is, which is here. This is the 5-foot
Right.
setback line.
Right.
So we're within that setback.
But it's not consistent with the rendering then?
It is.
It is not.
Wait.
I would suggest to you it is not, because you have an inclined portion of the structure. If I look at the rendering,
On the mic, wait, there's a mic. Yeah, can you turn it on for
that
him?
line right there,
Just the mic, Renee, so
that line right there,
there you go.
This, right. So this line right here is where the front facade sits, and this is within our setback, but it is 5 foot further.
so it extends to that 5-foot front setback, which is
Correct.
not shown on this section.
Yeah, you're
No,
not
it
seeing
is.
on that, yes.
It should be. I'm not sure which section you're looking at, but it should be shown on the section.
Just, can you tell them the number of the section? What section? So we can also,
Yeah,
oh, that one
balcony's
that
on
you
it.
had up. It's the one you had up,
Yeah.
with the yellow.
I mean, I guess to try to answer the question in the simplest manner, that front facade is within the front setback.
Can you put the drawing back up, the sectional drawing? Yeah, that one. That's the one you're talking about.
Yeah. It's not there.
So that element is right here.
It's right within the yellow section here.
That element is right here.
Yes, that's absolutely correct.
It's not shown on this rendering, on this
Oh, I
section,
understand what you're
correct?
saying. I'm sorry. Yes, you're correct that it's not clearly drawn.
So it's beyond the existing structure.
It's beyond the existing structure.
It's beyond the existing structure to the tune of 10, almost 10 and a half feet.
Yes. 5, what is it, 5 feet? 5 feet. 5 feet. I'm sorry?
No. it's
10
10
feet,
feet, I'm
5
sorry,
feet.
I'm sorry, you're
It's 10
absolutely
and a half
correct. 10 feet, yes. 10 feet, here you see it, 10 foot 5 inches.
Correct.
Right.
Okay, just wanted to be
It's
clear
10
on
foot
that.
5 inches
So
in
you're-
front of the historic facade and within the setback. But I'll also mention that it's not enclosed area, it's just the balcony.
with a huge black
So
wall.
just to be clear, you have this large essentially wall, 5 feet.
Right.
Extending beyond, okay.
Okay.
And then the other issue that I have is the 4-foot setback. I realize that you were saying that there are a number of other buildings. Why do you need that why do you need to encroach into that setback?
Well, I think this drawing shows it clearest because we're pushing back so far from the front. We're pushing back essentially 25 feet 5 inches for most of the front of our new structure. And as a result, and because we also want to maintain the courtyard, as a result, we are requesting that we be able to push back in the back, which is consistent with what the neighbors have as well.
I'm done with my questions.
Okay, thank you. Mitch, would you like to have questions?
Yeah, the fenestration of the primary facade on the existing structure, did you say you're going to be putting glass block in those openings?
Yes. Yes.
My preference is something to replicate what was there originally, whether it be casement or something else. I think bringing too much of your design into the public realm over there.
You know, I think one of the things that I understand, and I'll just simply say that I think as an architect that loves this city, I think I also recognize its strengths and its weaknesses. And I think there were a lot of buildings that were built in a manner that was quite simple and using windows that were quite inexpensive and ordinary. And so I think we were trying to step up the quality and the sort of finish of those
Well,
openings.
you could still do that with glazing. I'm just, I guess.
Here you see the existing condition. They're essentially awning windows, like, you know,
Yeah.
inexpensive awning.
Well, that's likely not the original condition.
Similar.
Okay.
Okay,
That's it.
that's it, all right. Elizabeth, do you have any questions?
My question, I think it's more for one of you. I'm not sure which one would be able to answer. So Renee mentioned that a lot of the properties adjacent have similar encroaches. And I was wondering if those encroaches, they are compared with current building zone regulations, or when at the time they were built, that's what was allowed.
Well, typically for older buildings, the required setbacks are much reduced. So that's part of the reason why you see the reduced setbacks along the alley. And that's why when, especially the Historic Preservation Board has analyzed variances in the past for this area as well as other areas of the city, they don't just look at, okay, what is the required setback? What is the character of the neighborhood? What does that show is what's established for that neighborhood? And is that a reason for granting the variance? If this was brand new, because if this was not in the historic district and was someplace else in the city, you're likely not going to see support from staff or the Design Review Board in supporting rear setback variances such as this. We do look at in terms of what is the established character of the alley in this case, and what they're proposing would not be inconsistent with what's been established for that setback.
Yes. And I think Renee also mentioned that instead of the 10, you have suggested 9. And
Yeah, it was typically-
where's the magic number?
Because typically, even in commercial, let's say in cases where the code does allow reduced setbacks in commercial districts, that setback is usually 5 feet. So we figure even in the most extreme cases, there's no instance where a less than 5 foot is allowed for the rear setback. So we felt that having a 5-foot setback was more consistent with other areas of the city, as well as for other variances that have been approved for rear setbacks. I can't think of a rear setback variance that's been approved at less than 5 feet, so that's why I recommended that. Also, the additional setback, because eventually over time, we know that the streets and alleyways will be elevated, and at some point, they will lose access to this garage. It may be 50 years or 75 years, but the further setback you have from the alley for the garage allows more adaptability to slope up to that level. So it does give a little bit more time.
Thank you. Lindsay?
So when we were talking earlier about the front facade of the balcony, you mentioned it was, I think, in context of that, you were saying that it's consistent with elsewhere in the neighborhood. Is that what you said? Did I hear that correctly?
I don't recall exactly in relation to, you mean to the front? Consistent, oh, I mean in the materiality, you mean? Yes.
I'm not sure. You just said it was consistent.
I probably said it, yes, in relation to the use of glass block.
Okay. And then has any consideration, so I happen to live on Meridian, not in this block, although I'm very familiar with it. Has any consideration been given to the impact on the foliage that exists there? Considering, because in that drawing that we were looking at earlier with the yellow that we were all discussing, I don't know what page it is. And you have freely said that it's not representing the trees. The trees aren't represented on that drawing or on many of these. But those trees do extend, and typically, the buildings that are further down the street, like it extends up and over balconies and rooftops and et cetera. So what's the consideration with having kind of a wall there and the impact on, these beautiful calathalium trees that we have lining Meridian Avenue? I am concerned about that, and so
Right.
I want to understand what you guys have looked into regarding that and what kind of considerations you've made for that.
Sure. I think the intention is to stay well within the setback of the building, in other words, within our buildable area. I assume if there is a street tree, which is, I think, what you're referring to, that has a branch that is coming into the buildable area, then it may need to be cut back. But I think that generally speaking, our approach in general is to love and keep the vegetation that's there. As a matter of fact, there's a beautiful kapok tree on the site that we want to maintain, and any mature trees. There's also some trees here, which you see help the situation with the neighbor towards the north, these palm trees. And we would maintain those as long as we're able to, and that should all be reflected in your landscape plan. But I guess the simple answer is we want to be sensitive and maintain all of the mature existing vegetation that is there.
Okay, seeing no more, Ray, your mic is on. Are you asking a question? No, are you okay? All right. Seeing no more questions, are there any board disclosures? Did anybody, no, anything?
Just, I, like all of you, received a letter from neighbor and also a phone call.
Yep, okay. Anybody else? No, all right. All right, with that, I think we'll open it to the public hearing. So.
Since nobody has their hand raised online, so we can just proceed to in-chambers comment.
Perfect, okay.
Hello. Dear members of the Historic Preservation Board.
Can you start by introducing yourself and
Yes,
your
absolutely.
address, please?
My name is Jennifer Kaiser. I was born here in Miami Beach, and I am the president of the board of 344 Meridian Avenue Condominium Association. We are the neighbors. In here today are 5 other representatives, 5 other unit owners or representatives. All of us have the balconies that face south, which is where they're proposing to build this. I'm going to need 10 minutes. Is that okay? And I'll make it, I can probably go faster than 10 minutes, but I prepared, this is in 2 sections. This is to address 2 portions of their request.
I just need to know, because is everybody gonna speak, or are you speaking in front for 5 of you, all 5 of you?
There might be some people who want to add something.
Then if it's not, then we can't give you each 10 minutes, so.
No, we're not each going to need 10 minutes.
But
I'm
each would be given 10 minutes, because that's the only fair way that's the way we have to do it.
Oh, I understand.
So.
Okay, they want me to speak for them.
I was asking if they concede time, if they concede their time to.
We can give you a 10-minute block. I don't know.
I mean, I might not even need the whole
What?
10 minutes. I can go through it.
Why don't we give you?
I think, Mr. Chairman, I think you can use your discretion
I will, okay.
to grant Ms. Kaiser the additional time. She's going to be
Perfect.
speaking on
Yes,
behalf of other residents in the building. If others want to add after, we can take those
Okay,
requests.
so we don't have to do it where everybody gets the, I mean, I just know.
No,
that
I don't
this-
think so.
Okay, perfect. Then we will start with you, and you can have your 10 minutes.
Thank you very much. I prepared this to try to streamline it, and I appreciate all of you for reading all of our letters and the phone call. Thank you very much for giving us the opportunity to express our concerns here. So in the actual public hearing notice, it says the application has been filed requesting a certificate of appropriateness for the total demolition of one structure. I'm assuming that's the back house. The substantial demolition of one structure, and I'm assuming that's the historic Dexter multifamily building that sits at the front of the property. The construction of a single-family home, I'm assuming that that would replace the total demolition of the back house, and then a variance from the minimum required setback. So there's no real mention in here of the replacement of the substantial demolition to the actual Dexter, the historic Dexter building itself. Yet the request for the certificate of appropriateness is for all four of these items. So that was very confusing to us. The notice itself was confusing, but moving past the confusion, now we know that this meeting is to discuss granting the permission to destroy the majority of the historic Art Deco multifamily building, the Dexter, and for the permission to reduce the minimum setback specific to the construction of the single-family structure that would replace the back house. But it's already been demonstrated to this Honorable Historic Preservation Board by multiple letters that we would experience hardship, that the request variance to minimize the rear setback is to accommodate for a 2-car garage, a kitchen, and a wine bar, and that is inappropriate. It's inappropriate for 3 reasons. Not granting the variance would not deprive the applicant of rights commonly enjoyed by other properties in the same zoning district. It would, but it would work unnecessary and it would not work unnecessary and undue hardship. The applicant would not experience unnecessary hardship if the variance is not granted. The second reason, not granting the variance does not deny reasonable use of the land, the building, or structure. The structure, they don't need a variance to build the house, is what I'm saying. It's not a requirement. They have not expressed hardship. But this variance, if the variance is requested, it is not in harmony with the general intent and purpose of these land development regulations, and such a variance will be injurious and detrimental to public welfare, and that has also been expressed in the letters. Now let's talk about the request to significantly demolish the multifamily front structure, the Art Deco historic building, the Dexter. Don't demolish the Dexter. I can appreciate the creativity that went into their project. It's very creative. I really appreciate it. But we're talking about a historic building. There is cultural and economic value of preservation of Art Deco buildings in Miami Beach, as you all very well know. The city's Art Deco buildings are not only historically significant, they significantly contribute to the character, identity, and the tourist economy of Miami Beach. Demolition of the Dexter would result in irretrievable loss of heritage. The Dexter should be restored, not significantly demolished. Just because the Dexter is in a flood risk area does not make it appropriate to knock down the majority of the historic building, especially to replace it with a modern building that towers so far over the height of the original structure. Appropriate height is a feature of the character of Art Deco buildings. Flood code does not override local preservation. While building codes and flood resilience standards are important, they do not automatically permit the demolition of historically significant buildings without review. There must still be compliance with you and the city's preservation ordinance. What is their proof of hardship? I didn't gather any hardship from their letter of intent. The flood code is clashing with the need for Art Deco historic preservation. In their letter of intent, they claim that 336 Meridian is in the RPS2 residential subdistrict. According to the survey, the lot is 50 feet wide. According to Municode for RPS2 properties, it states the maximum building height for a 50-foot or less wide lot is 45 feet tall. Yet their plan shows they want to build a 47-foot tall building with a parapet. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but it's like an extra 3 foot of protection on the roof, which would bring it to 50 feet. And then an elevator at 57 feet. A similar elevator was proposed in 2012 for the construction of 350 Meridian, and it was not approved by the Historic Preservation Board at the time. They said you can get up to the rooftop with stairs. So let's get back to don't destroy the Dexter. Don't significantly demolish the Dexter. As we did more research, we discovered the term facadism and how it's been used to preserve many Art Deco hotels. This concept has worked for a few of the Art Deco hotels, but I haven't seen this concept personally, and I haven't really had enough time to research it, but I haven't seen it on like a multifamily structure protecting a building like this. I know the Betsy, the South Seas, the Shore Club, they all use this. It was all approved. The proposed building plan may be a first of its kind. It's super unique, but I don't feel that it's right or appropriate for this address, for 336 Meridian. The proposed plan combines the preservation of the facade wall with a modern structure over it. A brand new huge modern structure sitting right on top of the preserved facade wall that will detract from the classic Art Deco look, and I think I heard some of you say that as well in your comments. It just defeats the purpose of Art Deco historic preservation. Before I conclude, I just want to mention that I heard a lot from the architect just now about the courtyard and how they've been sensitive and they're concerned about the courtyard. But there was no mention of there's a structure that showed in the renderings that tops the courtyard. So it almost seems like it's an enclosed courtyard. So I don't understand how enclosing the courtyard is being sensitive to us if we can't see it because we're looking at their kitchen. So in conclusion, I strongly oppose the issuance of any certificate of appropriateness to 2 of the 4 propositions. Instead, what I feel would be appropriate is to restore the Dexter. The front of the Art Deco multifamily structure, 336 Meridian. Bring it to its full beauty. Restore it, truly preserving this historic Art Deco building. Demolish the back house, take it down. Build a new beautiful modern house in the back, but that's right-sized, that doesn't need a variance. And respect and love thy neighbor. I mean, there are 12 of us that are being affected. So, and I did have a PowerPoint to put together. I put together a PowerPoint, but I don't know if I don't even know how to use it. But basically, it was showing you guys images of the property lines, how you can see how close we are already to the 350 building. When that 350 building on our north side was designed, it was designed with, they have their windows facing out. It closed us off from that side. If this building is allowed to be constructed to our south side, we are literally trapped. Our building wasn't designed for this. It wasn't designed to have something that close. There should be some kind of consideration with height, distance from the side, if they are allowed. flood requirements are incompatible with height restrictions today. I'm finding this over and over, even when I listened, I was here all day. These flood requirements are totally incompatible, and I'm seeing people kind of use the, well, because the new flood code says we have to start at 12 feet, that means our building can be 70 feet in the air. And that's what's happening. It's like, oh no, is the building 40 feet or is it 50 feet? You know, oh, well, it's 40 feet if you don't count the 12-foot elevation. It's very confusing and it's very tricky. So that's all I have to say. We're open to hear your proposal next or whatever. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much. Anybody else? Public hearing?
Keep it really short. I'm Diego Duenas. I'm also an owner at 344. I think just with everything we've talked about, more than anything, I just hope that they understand that we welcome them as neighbors and we're excited for what they'll build. I'm sure will be beautiful. I hope they can somewhat go back to the drawing board and maybe talk to us. This delicate intervention, as Renee said, is kind of really imposing on all of us, and it really affects our quality of life. And just wondering about this height thing, the 18 feet that they're saying they're going above and beyond to really mitigate flood stuff. Can we bring that down? I mean, come back down. That height is really affecting us, but I hope that we can talk to them and that you guys will grant us the chance to investigate this further since we just heard about it. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you for coming up. Anybody else?
Good afternoon. I appreciate that the facade of the Dexter is going to stay the way it is. I would argue that when these two groups come by that have for years, whether on a Segway or being led in a golf cart, they're not going to see a floating structure over it. Impressive it is, but it'll be looming over it more so. You're detracted looking at that building from the plans that I see, looking up at it from the street. And I don't think that's consistent with preservation of a historic building such as the Dexter. It completely changes the facade, literally. And the proposed structure is impressive. I appreciate the attempt to keep the courtyard. That's lovely. And I would see that out of my actual balcony. However, I realize there's no laws that keep someone from building and blocking off a view you've had since 1974, some of the members of the building. But there is a human factor that all the wealth that's accrued through having property was based on that view. We will lose that view completely, which will also in turn devalue our homes. Thank you.
Thank you. And anybody else from the, okay, Julie, you can go afterwards.
Good afternoon. Julie Isaacson, representing the Miami Design Preservation League Advocacy Committee. 336 Meridian Avenue, MDPL position. We oppose the proposed project for multiple reasons. First, the application does not demonstrate sufficient justification for the near-complete demolition of a contributing structure within the Ocean Beach Historic District. Retaining only 3 facade walls does not constitute meaningful historic preservation and fails to preserve the architectural integrity that the structure contributes to the neighborhood. The proposed new construction is incompatible with the scale, massing, and architectural character of the surrounding historic district. The oversized design, particularly the projecting glass block, overpowers the historic facade. The overall design lacks contextual sensitivity to the predominantly Art Deco and Mediterranean Revival character of Meridian Avenue and the interior portion of the South of Fifth neighborhood. We oppose the requested variance to reduce the rear setback from 14 feet to 4 feet. The applicant has not demonstrated a legitimate hardship. Claims of base flood elevation challenges do not justify reduced setbacks. We believe this proposal represents overdevelopment of the site and sets a concerning precedent for demolishing contributing structures while claiming preservation through facade retention alone. We encourage the applicant to reconsider the design with a more contextually appropriate architectural approach that generally integrates and respects the historic structure, reduces the overall mass and scale, and eliminates the projecting elements that overpower the streetscape. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anybody else? 1 second. Okay.
Hello, Tatiana Trifkovic, representing apartment 3B at 344 Meridian Avenue. I'm piggybacking off what everybody else pretty much said. This is an Art Deco building. I love Meridian Avenue. People go there, they love seeing the trees, they love seeing the old buildings. We don't need another modern glass brick building, build it in Brickell in downtown Edgewater. But I think it's heartbreaking to see this looming balcony over the beautiful Art Deco building. Restore the building, build a small little house in the back. I just think it's an absolute eyesore. And they said they're going to try to preserve the trees in the front. We all know what that means. The trees are going down. They're going to be cut because this huge, gigantic balcony is going to be in the way of those trees. So please rethink approving anything. Thank you.
Thank you very much. With that, unless we have somebody online, do we? No.
There's nobody online with their hand raised.
Okay, then we will close public comment.
Before you do that, Chair,
yes,
I want Todd and Tiffany to be able to say a
Of course.
few words.
Of
Thank you.
course.
Well, hello, good afternoon, and thank you, board members and team. I'll introduce the better half first, my wife, Tiffany Engel. I'm Dr. Todd Engel. I think I'll come from a little different stance and perspective today. First of all, thank you all for your comments. I think the best thing that was said today was love and respect thy neighbor. We currently reside in Charlotte, North Carolina. We have a home here, a condo on Ocean and 3rd. And I just mention this because I'm a dental surgeon, and I've been the owner and founder of a dental implant institute for 25 years, teaching all over the world. The reason I mention that is because we are fortunately 2 years away from my retirement and able to choose anywhere in the world that we want to live. And this is where our heart is. We walk every day. We love Miami Beach. We support Miami Beach. We infiltrate money into restaurants, parking lots, coffee shops. When we come here, we Uber home, and we don't leave our home. We spend our entire time south of 5th. We support the community. We don't know anybody here, to be honest with you. We walk, as I mentioned, about 20,000 steps a day. I did mine already today. I walked down Jefferson, Meridian, all the way back and forth this morning to 52nd Street from 3rd Street. My favorite street is Meridian. My favorite street is Meridian because of the trees. I will do everything in my power to save every leaf on every branch. I tell you that I'm a public speaker. I'm not shaking because I'm nervous. I'm shaking because it's emotional. I've waited my whole life to find a place to be with my family that I love, and I love it here. So while I'm very sensitive to the comments, and I thank you, we want to join Miami. We don't want to change Miami. We love the Dexter, unfortunately, in the condition that it's in, and the fact that there are 4 one-bedroom apartments. We can't live in this, and I understand the comments. I would say that when we started looking around and trying to put a team together to not only create something conducive and new for Miami, but we wanted to keep it what it was. We didn't want to change anything. The reason we came to Miami is because we love what Miami is. We really do. Being originally from California, I understand the weather, and we love the weather, but we love it here more now. The reason I mention that is because it was really, really important to me that I start with someone not only culturally rooted, but from an extreme talent level to provide us what we need. And we began with Renee. So I'll leave it at that. I thank everybody. I really do. In one way or another, we are your neighbors, and we wish everybody in here the best. And we're really looking forward to being residents of Miami Beach, and we thank you all.
Thank you very much. We're going to close public comment, and now you have a chance for rebuttal,
Okay.
if you'd like to take it.
Yes, thank you very much. A few points regarding the height. We're fully compliant on height. The height in the district is 40 feet from base flood elevation plus freeboard. We are utilizing for resiliency, which is the resiliency code. It encourages understories. We have an understory, and measuring height from VFE plus the 5 feet of freeboard plus 40 feet is to our top of roof. We are fully compliant. And there is an elevator bulkhead 10 feet above that. The code allows for that as a allowable height exception. So we are 100% compliant in that regard. Our side setbacks also fully compliant. That is what this, not just for our property, but for the building that was built north of the neighbors. They are complying with their side setbacks. That is the nature of this district. And that is also, I think, the historic setbacks for older buildings as well. And this neighborhood is, the context of this neighborhood is a number of multi-floor, multi-family buildings. So we are similarly sized. What we are actually doing is preserving the Dexter. It may not be preserved as a fully enclosed building, but today and tomorrow, it's not a publicly accessible building. What does the public get to view? The facade from the street. Along the sidewalk and across the way, and that is what we are preserving in place. It is significantly lower from a flood plain perspective, and that's extremely concerning when you go to try to preserve and allow it to be habitable. It would be at extreme risk, but we are preserving that and then being resilient with the rest of our development. As I mentioned before, what that does, that is a main part of our hardship, is that we are preserving the Dexter in place and we are pulling our building back. So the Dexter itself is not at the front setback line, it is already further back, and pushing the majority of our building further back and respecting the historic courtyard in the middle are the reasons why we are seeking the variance at the rear setback. Historic preservation is a well-known and established hardship for seeking a associated variance. That also is creating our practical difficulty, as well as that's the floodplain issues, allowing that building to remain and be preserved for the public at the front. It means we are pushing away towards the back, and at the same time that we have shown and all of our plans indicate, this is the historic context for rear setbacks in this neighborhood. We agree to the 5 feet that staff has suggested, no issue with that. And as I did mention, there is a well-established, I know that these people have been here for years and seen, views across this private property, but there is no right to view across private property. I will say that, again, this is a single-family home. This is not going to be a multifamily residence building, which could have up to 16 units at 950 square feet each and have all the parking and likely seek balconies that would face the neighbors. We have no balconies facing the neighbors, and we are leaving about 1,500 or more square feet undevelopable. You see that courtyard in the middle, where the majority of that is open, right at the position where there are balconies in the south central side of the building to the north, which is the only portion of the south wall of their building that has balconies, is right where we are placing our courtyard to maintain that historic. If we did we fully built out, had full FAR, that would be a big box. That whole area would be filled in, and they would be staring, I don't know if it's a blank wall, but at a wall of some kind. So we feel that this is the more sensible approach. I know that there were probably be more questions that I'll leave for you to ask, certainly about the balcony. I'm sure Renee can fill you in more, but I think that's it for rebuttal. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. And I would like to ask staff just to step in here, because I think we've been hearing a lot. And since you're our professional advisors on this, in your staff report, you talk about the scale and massing of the proposed home with the proposed courtyard is more consistent with and contextually sensitive to the established neighborhood scale, as compared to more recently constructed buildings such as 350 Meridian or the adjacent building at 344 constructed in 1974. Can you elaborate on, maybe on the conversations that you had? And if you can put this into context with guidance that was actually voted into, like Buoyant City guidance that was voted in by the City Commission several years ago, so that we can kind of understand your point of view in the discussion.
Sure, so looking back at the reference to the neighborhood character, that refers to the courtyard. So if you look at the building to the north and the building to the north of that, they don't really have a courtyard. So you have the buildings built out from setback to setback. That's inconsistent with the historic character of the neighborhood. They did have a front building and a rear building with a courtyard in the center. As Mr. Amster stated, if they were to, they could push the whole building inward, eliminate that courtyard, eliminate the variance request, but is that going to be beneficial to anybody? And does that also then, it doesn't follow along with the sort of courtyard development over time of these properties. In terms of the resiliency code, Ray didn't mention it, but he's one of he probably had one of the first properties, or designed one of the first properties with an understory before the city even had understory regulations on Prairie Avenue. And so he's very, very familiar with designing resilient buildings. And so in terms of his building does respond to the requirement to, elevate buildings and look at, the future for 50 or 100 years. This is a building it's a lot of thought put into it. It's going to last for hopefully 100 years. So you want it to be resilient. And he's designed it, as such. And when I looked at this and Debbie looked at this building, it is a little bit different in terms of the design concept. And I think Renee didn't focus more on why is the balcony along the front that consistent, plane. And that's more so to not overwhelm the historic architecture. So this becomes a backdrop. He has the underside with a slight reflection so that the landscaping behind that will be reflective above that. And he didn't want to have just a typical, they could have designed a rooftop addition on top of the existing Dexter. And that's just something that's more typical, standard. It's nothing innovative. So we believe that his philosophy here, which is to really keep that preserved architecture and not overwhelm it by adding an addition, having an addition that's separate and detached. And I think that's the reason why he has this, elevated balcony. I do think that, we talked about that as well, that if the board is uncomfortable with that approach, there is an alternative. He could, reduce the size of that to a typical railing. If there's concerns with branches over impacting that balcony, I think they could take a look at that and further analyze, are there branches that would, interfere with that balcony? They could reduce it. I do think that this is a very academic exercise. We're looking at these elevations in pureness without the landscaping. We're probably never going to see that condition. So I do think that although a lot of this has a good argument academically in terms of the design perspective, when you look at adding the trees, would it be that bad if they reduced the balcony to a typical balcony height and you could see the windows behind it? It may impact his integrity of his design, but I think that's sort of a minor accommodation if the board members believe that that's something that should be addressed. I haven't heard any comments regarding the side elevations or the overall design. It seems like the focus is on that the balcony in the front. So, and I do think that his solution, by keeping the building, the Dexter where it is, he could elevate it. Then you divorce it from the street, and that's going to be divorced until such time that the street is elevated, if ever. So I think this preserves sort of the history and the pattern of development. You can look at this and see, oh, I see why they left this open. This area could flood. So, but it preserves sort of the historic. It's like a relic or a ruin, not to that extent, but you can see where it is reflective of the historic pattern of development in Miami Beach. And another thing to note on, we didn't focus on the glass wall on the property line. I know that was mentioned in terms of a question. The maximum height they could do that is 5 feet. So the maximum height for that wall on the front is 5 feet, and that glass design would require approval from this board. So it's up to the board to approve the glass block for the fence. Otherwise, they would have to do like a standard, picket fence for the front wall.
Did anybody else have any questions following that, or? Yeah, go ahead,
I'm sorry,
Elizabeth, yeah.
I didn't understand what you said. You said that the front wall, because it's a block, a glass block,
Yeah,
needs
we
to be
wouldn't,
approved by us?
yeah, because we wouldn't typically approve a glass block at staff level for a property wall.
I see, but if it were like a masonry concrete painted?
Yes.
That could, you
Yes.
didn't have to be approved by us?
Correct, correct.
Got it.
All right. So, do we have comments now? Not questions. Randy, are you out of comments, or you just? Anybody like to go? Ray, please.
Well, it's already been discussed, but that balcony, to me, is like too overpowering on the original building. I would rather see it just as a straight balcony, no glass block or whatever, because it steps back, then you've got your window, then you've got your, I mean, right now, it just is a big, in-your-face block. And I can't approve it like that.
If I may, I don't know if this is appropriate at this time. I'm sorry. No,
yeah,
I
why
can't
don't you
speak
go
up.
back and forth, 'cause we need to-
I just would like to pull up an image that I have of, let's say, the naked building without, in my view, and I understand how you would see that way, because, and it is maybe stark when you first see it, but I think that the final result, honestly, and that's the intent, is to be sensitive to the historic building and to create something, as Michael very well said, that becomes backdrop and soft, if you will, because the glass block will essentially just reflect the light and hover over it as a soft a rectangular element. And that's the reason why we actually haven't articulated it. But we have in the...
Could call up the presentation, please?
Can you help me pull this up, please? Oh, here, I've got it. So I'd like to show you this image, which is essentially what the building would look like without that railing. And you can see the busyness of what the facade would be, having sliding glass doors and a regular balcony, and versus what we are proposing, which is something softer and sort of just more uniform. It may not, I can completely understand where a layperson may not understand it, but I think in reality, when this is built, and hopefully you will approve this and support it, and if so, I would love to see you one day after it's built and understand your point of view, because I truly believe as an architect that loves this city, and that, as Michael said, did, I think, the first resilient house on Prairie, which is the elevated house that was built on Prairie. I care about this place, and I also sympathize with the neighbors, because we reached out to them to meet with them so that I could explain this to them, but I can understand and be sympathetic that they've been looking at an empty lot for many, many years. But I think that the development that we're doing is really trying to be sensitive to them, to the historic structure, and to Miami Beach in general. So that's...
Okay, thanks.
And as a reminder,
yes,
this does not show the existing street tree canopy.
I understand.
Right? That this view will not be seen unless I'm horrible, and I don't want to say it. You know, there are limited vantage points, which is another reason why the Dexter will shine in this proposal.
Right.
The two concerns I have, first of all, that entire balcony is in front of the historic building. It's entirely sticking out. I'm looking at Google Map right now of the street in front of the house. You look up, you're going to see it. There's a tree in the boulevard. There are no trees in the front yard. They're all small, bird of paradise, bamboo or something. I can't tell exactly. You will see that, and the fact that it projects out over in front of the existing building. I'm sorry, your other picture is 10 times better, in my opinion, from a design point of view. If you change the color of the muttons not to be dark brown, I think it would be much less busy. It actually looks like it's been exaggerated to make it look busy. If you look at the facade of the building you have on that picture, it's very generic with all those muttons. You can hardly tell yet when you take the railing off, You made it dark, it's very busy, I don't disagree with that, but I absolutely disagree that this is a better option. Transparency to a street in an urban area is important. It's not a back alley. That looks like this is on the back alley of this property. So that's, I can't support this.
Okay. Ray, on the mic, please. Haskell, would you like to add any comments? Well, this is the moment. We're otherwise, okay. Oh, wait, you want to come back? Okay. All right, go for it. Mitch? Sorry, I just thought we were going to be going through each person in order.
So to the rear setback, that seems to be something contentious with your neighbors. Are you willing to reduce it any further beyond the 5 feet that staff recommends? Matt, Renee?
I would just like to go back to this image so that you understand the reason and how much we are pushing back from the front. Essentially, the enclosed space is in alignment with the historic facade. Yes, the balcony elevation sits out, but within the setback, but we're still 23 foot 5 inches primarily. So we would appreciate the staff's recommendation and are fine with that. But I think if we reduce it much further, we will have to sort of dilute that courtyard, which is actually going to impact the neighbors in a significant way.
Well, that's what I was thinking. Can you take 2 or 3 feet, pull it?
We can, and then we would probably have to push into the courtyard 2 or 3 feet. It's a real balancing act here, and you can be certain that I've studied this very carefully and that I'm trying to strike a balance between all of it. In our view, and especially when you look at this drawing and you understand the number of properties, including our neighbor to the north, that is encroaching on the setback. And if you look at the alley, can we pull those images, please? If you look at the alley photographs, you'll see the nature of the alley. There's nothing special there, but what is special is the courtyard, and what will be special.
Wait, no.
That's
okay.
staying, that kapok tree. And what will be special, I think, what will be special is the effect of the courtyard on the neighbors.
No crosstalk. We can't have any talk off the record, so, yeah.
So, I'll just explain. I'll explain these two drawings which we did in relation to the courtyard issue and the setback and the relationship to the neighbor. So this is where the courtyard sits, and it was designed to be precisely where their balcony is. I mean, we've really attempted to be sensitive with this project, including, as has already been said, that it's 8,000 square feet versus 10,000 square feet, that it's a single-family home. So this swath here, and yes, there is a bridge that goes across and connects the two elements, but it's a bridge. And yet this whole area here, which sits in front of the balconies, you can see this is the elevation. We took the trouble of drawing the elevation of their building. This is where their balcony occurs. And that's precisely where the courtyard occurs. And here you see it in plan.
So for clarification purposes, would they be able to see the interior of the courtyard? Or will they be looking
Depends on what level. If they're at this level, yes, they'll look right into it. Well, depends on honestly, I think it would be in both the neighbor's favor and my client's favor for this to get densely planted. So I think they will see a jungle, or they'll see vegetation, which is the intention.
Okay, and when you said that level, you're referring to 20 feet up, or?
These are this is all parking on the building next door.
Yeah.
This is the first habitable level next door. This is the second habitable level, and this is the third habitable level. And this is the nature of the alley. So the question is, do we want to encroach on the alley and yes, respect the 5 feet that seems to be more standard than the 4 feet?
And yet we're going to be in a similar condition to everyone else on the alley? Or do we want to lose sort of a courtyard for the nature of the project and also for the neighbors?
I didn't find a northern elevation for, do you have one available?
Yeah, we should. Can you pull it up? We'll pull that up for you.
Thank you.
It's in your package as well, it should be.
If you could give me the page, it would be appreciated. Thanks.
It should be with the elevations. It's a thick package.
A11.
Here it is.
Great.
So this is the area we're talking about.
Got it. Got it. So,
Yeah, you can see it on the screen with the palm trees.
So on this elevation where the two people are walking on the left, is that the sidewalk or is that that's on the property, right?
That's the sidewalk.
That's the property.
No, that's on the property. I'm
On
sorry.
the property,
Yeah.
okay, so yeah.
Yeah, the side. Yeah.
Now you lost me.
That's you're absolutely correct,
Is that-
John. It's misleading in the sense that it tends to look like it's the sidewalk. That's inside the property because
Yes.
the balcony is within the buildable area
Right.
of the site.
Got it.
Remember, the Dexter wall is 15 feet 5 inches from the property line.
Right. Would you like to? You have a question? Oh, were you finished? Hey, Mitch, are you?
Sure.
I mean,
sure.
okay, you can come. We can come back to you. Okay.
Okay. So, thank you, Renee, so much. I really appreciate the design and the care you all took trying to figure out the best way to use the existing structure and at the same time satisfy your client's desire of being in Miami Beach, and appreciate your comments as well. I personally have two problems with the design. One, I tend to agree that the balcony going beyond the front, the existing front elevation of the building, it's a little bit overwhelming. I don't have a problem with the height if it were set back flush with the existing elevation. I understand that you have the right to do that by code, but I feel like it's overwhelming and taking over the structure. And I understand that your intent of having the underside reflective and the glass block, all that will help or minimize the effect, but I still feel it won't take it away. It's not going to make it disappear, and I find it overwhelming in the circumstances and given the existing situation. And my other that I'm struggling with is the encroachment on the rear setback. I understand the alley is the alley, but at the same time, the alley fulfills a purpose, and as Michael mentioned, in the future, if they raise the alley, having the additional width helps for it. And I think 4 feet on each side, I personally believe it's not enough. And it's an issue of privacy too. And I don't know what's on the other side, and I think that's one of the reasons why the city has increased the requirements that require setbacks, to create more space and allow for more privacy for the residents. And you know that historically, South Beach was always a very dense area for different reasons. So I think that is one way that the city has found to minimize that. So those are my two areas that I'm struggling with.
Okay, thank you. Lindsay?
Well, I'm just a layperson, but at least as far as architecture is concerned, but I have sat on this board for a couple of years, and I will echo my neighbor's comments. I do struggle. So I'm probably almost as familiar with this stretch of Meridian as anybody in this room. So I do struggle specifically, and I raised this earlier, my concern about the trees. As staff mentioned, the balcony is overpowering over the existing structure. I really appreciate the thoughtful concern given to preserving the three walls of the existing structure. The design is beautiful into the courtyard and whatnot. I appreciate all of that. But I don't, standing here today, I can't support the project as is, based on the imposing nature of the structure over the existing structure. And I mean, it's literally at the property line where that balcony comes to. And, I mean, I've stood on the rooftop of the building 2 doors down. Like, I know where these trees come to. I know what this looks like. Property, most of them step back. Actually, 344 doesn't step back, but the other newer properties across the street, you have Louver House, you know, it's set back. The imposing nature of this over the sidewalk and over the people that are walking by, I do think it's going to take away from the existing contributing structure. And so that's just where I am. So I know staff has asked for, or suggested, or recommended approval with conditions. My perspective personally, I'm going to share this with the board and with the applicant, is that you take into consideration the revisions staff has recommended, the stuff that the things that we've discussed here, specifically changes to that front balcony. I appreciate what my colleague said regarding that the representation of it with the wall removed looks intentionally busy, and it doesn't have to be that busy. Take some of those things into consideration, because I know it's not just as simple as, okay, we don't want you to encroaching this much in the setback, and we don't want this. You can't just say, okay, cool, I'm gonna cut those off, and here's the new property, we're standing here. What I'd like to see is kind of some thoughtful redesign of those elements to come back before us. That's where I am right now. Sorry, right.
Question to you, do you think having the balcony removed totally and then just have like a French balcony door as part of the bedroom? You know, like there's a lot of places that just, you know, just open up your door and you have a balcony right there, and your bedroom is now part of that balcony? I mean, is that what you're really saying? Because you'd like to have the balcony totally taken off, correct?
No, well, I don't want it to extend to the edge of the property line, which is where it is now. It's
5
extending.
feet setback.
Sorry, my apologies. To the fence line. Yes? Is it to the fence line?
No,
I think it is. It's not?
Well, it overhangs, it totally overhangs.
Let's see. What page is the yellow drawing that we keep talking about?
This one, this is Renee?
I'm looking for the yellow.
Let's,
This one.
wait,
Sorry.
no crosstalk yet.
Yeah,
Not yet.
I'm saying it's right now.
Let's just finish
So,
this.
so the property line, and then the fence is where?
The fence is at the property line
Is
on
at
the
the
ground
property line.
floor, right.
Okay. Yeah, okay, so it's goes to the 5-foot front setback, but I still think that that's gonna be overpowering. I don't think I could be wrong. I don't think, other than something that goes straight up, there's something that's gonna overhang like that on Meridian, as best I can recall. I don't think there is anything. It all steps back. I know even 350 steps back. There may be walls, but like the balconies themselves kind of step back.
I think they're on the setback, which is sort of further out, or at the same point as this. I mean, it appears like this would set out just simply because the existing historic facade is that.
Correct, but I mean, it's going to extend 5 feet over the existing, that's what I'm saying, you know. So those are my thoughts.
Okay. Mitch? Thank you.
The depth of the balcony, is that 10 and a half feet?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
10 and a half feet, essentially.
Yeah, it's,
It's 10 and a half feet from the property line to the edge of the building itself, so if you
No.
subtract for the wall,
5 feet.
If you pull up the image that I have currently.
sorry, not from the property line, from the
there you
setback,
go.
my apologies.
Here you see it. The
10 and a half feet.
you see where the property line is here. This is our 5-foot setback. In other words, this is the buildable area. All this yellow zone is actually buildable area. And within that area is where most of the buildings currently exist on this street. And Louver House included, with the exception of the courtyard, because I designed Louver House. So.
Mitch, go, did you have a?
I'm
Continue.
just fascinated that the 10.5-foot cantilever, that's impressive. I guess steel tubes will do wonders. This is good design, folks, quite frankly. I understand everybody's trepidation or concern with the glass block wall on that balcony. Perhaps maybe, lowering it a bit could be considered. I like that it's the same height as the other elevation of the building. It's a progressive design. I just wish we can find some sort of middle ground where the neighbors could rest easily. So I don't know if that's in the rear setback or lessening the depth of the courtyard.
Well, yeah, no, I agree, and I know you're an amazing architect, Renee, and I would really not want to, try to nickel and dime this in any way, because I think if you took the conversations that you heard today and back with your clients and with your staff and kind of worked on that, I'm thinking you might be able to obviously get something that we haven't even conceived of yet, but would also kind of perhaps pull this board around so you get the 5 votes that you'd need to pass this. I assume it's 5 votes, is that correct?
It's 5 for both.
It's what?
The new variance
Five
and
for both, right. No, so
impervious for
5. You
demolition.
really have to get 5 people on board. And I was just, the reason I asked Michael about the conversations was, and specifically about the guidelines that have been approved by the city, was because the Boyan City guidelines are so specific about this particular question, and it's not answered well. I mean, you would be able to answer it much better, but it's really kind of about forwarding the historic property in some way, as you've done in your own way, but you also kind of have this Breuer-esque kind of structure behind it. And if you read the histories of the Breuer building in Manhattan, and the conversations about it were really very reminiscent of kind of the conversations we had today. Those conversations took place in the 70s. But I do think that, I was wondering if maybe we'd have what you guys would like to do. I just don't see the board kind of coming around with the 5 votes yet. But I'm very confident that if you had more conversation with the neighbors and had a kind of, you'd really be able to take off with this.
I appreciate that.
1 second, wait. Oh, just wait 1 second. I just
No,
want to hear
sorry,
what you said.
I was just going to, I appreciate Lindsay's conversation, and by no means was I suggesting that a layperson doesn't, I mean, all I was saying was that maybe the drawings can be sort of better understood by an academic or an architect, and that's all I was, so I'm sorry, I did not mean that whatsoever. I wanted to get a little bit of clarification, because I appreciated your comments, Lindsay, and I wanted to understand, and in general, from all of you, is it having the balcony, period? So if the balcony existed without that facade, and we sort of developed the facade in other words, the only visible facade would be this facade here in line with the historic preservation, but the balcony would still...
We don't have it on the screen.
Can you put the image up,
Can we,
please?
there we go.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so my question is, I'm trying to get, I'm hearing that this is going to be continued. I appreciate everybody's comments, and I'm trying to understand and take it in so that we can walk away and come back with something that's productive. So my question is, if we have the elevation here that it will be visible, would it still be acceptable to you all if there is a balcony here that is transparent in nature? In other words, the way that the rendering that I showed you depicts, which has cables and a grate, a metal grate, so that it's transparent and allows light into the garden. Is that something that I think the board embraces or not?
So obviously I can speak from my perspective and only my perspective. How's that? I think my first impression, and obviously I understand there are trees in front of this. When you represent it to us, we don't see the trees in conjunction with the drawings. However, you can see literally the trees, like the superimposition of the trees behind this, they're clashing. But my first impression of it was imposing, right? It's just this big glass wall. So for me, either or a combination of, I'm not sure, a reduction in that 10.5 feet and or a lowering of that wall, with the materiality that you see. That's, again, I mean, you do good work. I'm familiar with it. So, I mean, I know that you can, like John was saying, I know that you can come up with something in conjunction with your client that is more in line with what we're looking to see. But for me, it's not the glass wall right there. And I picture in my mind not quite 10 feet, not extending so far over the existing structure just because it's so imposing. But you may come back and show us something in conjunction with staff that, that is more representative and less of a harsh effect, as far as I'm concerned. That's my thought. And I'm getting some head nods and some head shakes down there, so I'll let them speak about what their thoughts are.
Yeah, it's hard to tell until you do it, because, I can imagine what it could look like. I personally think that it would help a lot to take the facade of the house back behind the facade of the existing structure. I think I don't care what plant material's in the front, you're gonna look up in an exact same plane as the house. I think if you pull that back and put a more transparent balcony, even if the balcony projected in front of the historic structure would be more acceptable. It's just that now it's not deferring to the historic structure. It's overwhelming it because it's actually in the same plane, but totally different architecture. So and there's that space, but I agree, the plant material is not gonna fill that. The elevation is very deceptive because you're never, ever gonna see that plant material. The plant material growing in the courtyard behind the wall will never be visible from the street. It can't even get tall enough to be over the structure. So there'll always be that structure in face with the historic structure. I think if it were pushed back even remotely and then had the balcony more transparent, I think the whole thing would read better and not feel it's killing the historic structure or the historic feeling of that building.
It's looming. It's
Yes,
like
it's
just
just
looming over like, Yeah.
That's how I feel personally.
Appreciate that.
Any lighting under that balcony?
Yeah, I mean, of course, there would be
I
lighting in the
mean,
garden, and also even to reflect, there is 5 foot of space between the property line and the sidewalk. If this is the sidewalk where the cursor is here, if you can see that, this is the sidewalk. So there's another 5 feet of planting that would exist as well. And the street trees, of course, are sizable in this area, so they would also sit in front of the building.
I agree. Likely many wouldn't notice the balcony based on the existing treescape. So back to the lighting, that's within the cantilever facing down, or?
It would, I mean, we haven't worked with the lighting designer yet to get to the point where I could give you, but I can tell you that it would be our intention to have this lit appropriately and probably uplit in a way that allows the feeling of this thing hovering to be the case at night as well.
Yeah.
And once again, I mean, I'll make the point that in my view as the designer, the idea is for this thing, and as you very well pointed out, it requires some gymnastics to get this cantilever to sit out there, and it's more costly, and my client realizes that, but we thought it was a more sensitive approach, because we're not doing what is more dogmatically done, which is having the new addition sit directly over the historic structure.
Right. And, yeah, and for the neighbors who come, if you know, I keep referring to these guidelines. They're easily found online. It's called Buoyant City, and you can look at the strategies the city has approved for historic buildings. And it's just this is very close to strategy 1C. It's called. Sorry, I just know these guidelines way too well. But for this type of building, that would be a kind of a building within a building, and it's a city strategy moving forward for the next 50 years, presumably, to be able to save the streetscape in particular that we so cherish as being a central feature of the district. I'm just saying I'm not making this up, and you may shake your head, but I'm just saying that it's something that the city commissioners voted for. So if you really are upset about this or don't want these options, take a look at this, arm yourself with knowledge about this, and then talk to the elected officials about this if you feel, because it is essentially one of the guidelines that that have been approved to be followed. I'm not saying this is an exact model of it, but I'm just saying this is kind of where these ideas come from.
There's a big board and we have there's a board. May I, because
Yes,
again,
sure.
like we're looking either for feedback or consensus, right?
For sure.
And obviously, we have been waiting 3 months to present today. So, I mean, if there is any chance in reaching consensus, that would be amazing. If not, I understand, and we will appreciate coming back in front of you. I would like as much feedback from you as I can get, though, so that I come back, if we do have to come back, that I come back with a successful project. We do have a board. Can you pull it up, Kevin, here? Where is it? Oh, here. We do have a board that shows a solution that we're happy with that does not encroach on the front and is aligned with, maybe we can put it here. And is aligned, this is completely aligned with the historic building. It also is softened, I think, by the fact that it has a window. This obviously has no, if there, any balcony that would exist within these limits. In other words, behind this facade is the master bedroom and a balcony that could be incorporated within that area. But you can see it is maybe more consistent with what you're looking for, in that it's much softer, more traditional, I guess, if you can say that in relation to this project, and has sort of a window, and you see in the elevation too the relationship between the window and the way this window is patterned and the windows in the historic building below. So I offer this as a way to maybe reach consensus so that we can move forward in a way that we would accept and be happy with, let's say, and possibly in a way that is more acceptable to the board. This sits completely in line with the historic structure. It does not encroach 10 foot forward as we have been proposing up until now. That it would be wonderful to be able to move forward with this if it's something that is acceptable to the board.
You did?
I'll chime in. I don't have a problem with it.
Did you want to say anything? Okay. Nothing? Okay. Randy, did you want to say anything?
No.
No?
No.
Ray, did you want to say anything? What? We will do that, yeah. We'll do
I would like to say something.
Go ahead.
I appreciate you coming with this proposal at the end of the day, but I just don't like the way you approached it, quite frankly, coming at the last minute to propose this when your renderings clearly did not show the balcony. And I think that was for a specific reason, because you knew we were going to discuss it in this manner. You sat here earlier and you said, you know, I'm the architect, And you will appreciate what I do at the end of the day. When a number of people on this board told you that they didn't like this projection, that you insisted, and then at the last minute you come with this. We are building 8,500 square feet on this lot. Board members have asked you, is there any way we could just set it back a bit from the property line? I said, no, can't. Too many gymnastics. You wouldn't have my vote.
Randy, is your mic on because you're going to say something? Mitch?
No, I will second that, though. I just feel it's unfair to be spending an hour looking at something, and now, what do you think of the new version? I can't respond that quickly.
Got it. Okay. Anybody else have any comments? Otherwise, I do think we should take a straw poll at this point. Yeah, I guess I don't need a straw poll. Well, I don't know if I have the other 5 yeses, so that's why.
Do we want to reiterate our concerns?
Of course, you can, yeah.
Okay. Like I said, and maybe this is more of a staff question regarding the fenestration, are you okay? Obviously, you indicated.
With the revised design, yes.
You lost me.
So you said with the revised, okay with the revised design? Oh, the fence, no, the fence.
Well, no,
The fence on
the
the,
fenestration, the window here, it's being proposed as glass
Yeah.
block. I was thinking initially something more representative of what was existing when the building.
oh, for
when
the
structure
existing
was
building, yeah, I don't have an objection to the board putting back something within the existing openings that's more reflective of the original window design, which is what you're saying, right, Mitch?
Yeah.
He came back with exactly what I wanted. Yeah.
Can you get on the mic right, please?
Whether it's today or next month or the month after.
I think Mitch is
I mean, he's coming back with exactly what I'd asked for, so I would have to vote for it.
Yeah.
I'm not so sure I like the square window in there, but it's right where I want it to be, so it's okay.
Lindsay, did you want to add something?
Well, I mean, I think all we have here is renderings. So, I mean, does this change anything else?
No, and I by no means trying to pull anything over anyone, Mr. Mayor, and I'm sorry that it's perceived that way. I'm just trying to move this forward. It doesn't change anything whatsoever. We did this study at one point, and it was a position that we thought we could, and my client has agreed to it. It's a position that we thought we could accept if the board felt strongly that they didn't want the project protruding beyond the existing historic facade. So yes, it's the only change.
Well, I think we should do a straw poll, whether we would accept this with the building, with the proposed amendments based on staff recommendations. We'd have 2 votes, one for the variance and a straw poll for the variance and a straw poll for a certificate of appropriateness. Thank you. So let's just do quick straw poll, yes, no, for the certificate of appropriateness. Just whether this design, not the variance, not the backyard variance, what you're feeling right now. Okay? Ray?
Yes.
Okay.
So this is the back.
This is not the variance. This is a certificate of appropriateness for the whole overall design.
I'd be a yes.
No. You do? Okay. So I'll be a yes. It's a straw poll. Okay. Okay, there you go. That's fine. And then we know we don't have enough the votes for the certificate of appropriateness, and we can do the variance, but you want to try we're going to have to continue it anyway because we don't have a. You'd say yes for the variance. Ray, yes for the variance. No. No for the variance.
I'd say yes, work with your neighbors.
Yes for the variance. I do yes for the variance. No, okay. And no. Okay. So I do think we're going to have to come back and have you kind of work with the neighbors and kind of, you know, re-present this. It would be great to see, I think, a better understanding between you and the neighbors, and also kind of a better, you know, yes. What? Oh, yes, of course. And then a kind of, you know, maybe a couple of other renderings that would allow us to see it from the sidewalk, for example, and the way it looks, because these are, you know, with the trees and with the existing sidewalk, the Brazilian beauty trees or whatever they're called. Yes, and I'll go, Lindsay.
So that's actually kind of what I was going to suggest, and that's why I am where I am on this. It's not to say that I wouldn't approve this design, but it just without the benefit of, what I was going to suggest is views from the sidewalk, something else to show us kind of like what that would look like with the caliphylums in place. I assume that can be done. So that we can kind of see what that looks like from the perspective of those walking by, you know, who are, as we've all discussed, are there to appreciate, you know, not only the shaded area on Meridian, but also the beautiful Art Deco facade, what we're looking at here. So that's what I would like to see. And then, you know, that's my feedback.
Mitch?
I'm intrigued by your initial rendering with the large cantilever. I'm wondering, and I understand my colleagues, many of them are not. I'm wondering if they'd be amenable to a reduction in that depth, and you know, that the glass wall at its proposed height, it's, you know, I don't have a problem with it. Is there a way to soften it so we can find some consensus?
I
I
appreciate any comments that you can give me, because the reason that I have this rendering that I just presented to you is to try to understand that your sort of position, if we do pull back the facade and we articulate it in a way that is more, I guess, typically done, for lack of better words.
Right.
You know, the variance issue, yes, be happy to work with the neighbors and try to find a position that they're happy with as well. But I think I'm a little lost on the front in terms of what the board would like to see.
Here's my question. Why did you move away? You said you'd done this exercise, the one that you just handed to us. You did it and then clearly discarded it in favor of the balcony.
Well, we believe the balcony is a better, I believe the balcony is a better solution.
Okay.
We did this exercise in the event that the board would have hesitation about projecting beyond the historic facade.
Okay, Ray, and then
I mean,
Randy?
if you realize, he started off with what he wanted, then he showed us the balcony with just the railing around it, and we didn't jump on that. And you mentioned maybe nothing, and so he had all of those things ready to he knows what he wants to give everybody what they want, that they're going to get a yes for. So that's the reason he was prepared, and I give you a lot of credit for that.
Thank you.
That's not what I meant, Ray. And I misunderstood you when you said, I thought you said you had gone through this exercise, rejected it, did a different design, and then now we're back here. So I was trying to understand how we get back to like the rejected design, but that's not the case. That's what I was asking.
If I may, I think that in any design, especially when you have, you know, owners that are going to live there, that are, you know, they need to see things. We all are aware. In fact, you know, before we even got here, staff had brought up a concern about the balcony and the height of that wall. So we needed to call it an exercise, but it's a very practical exercise. It's for our team, the owners, to see what it would look like. And just because we have them, and the idea is that sometimes you share something because we don't want this, but we're going to show it to you because we had looked at it ourselves. So I want to just take a step back. Nothing is like, oh, well, how about this design? How about this design? It's not meant to do that. It's meant to educate both internally first, and then because we have these, and we felt with staff raising it and we needed to address it, that we would have these available, and so that you can benefit from the exercise that we took. I don't think that, no, we don't want to do all of these. However, it's not, as you all know, completely up to us. We're trying to come to get the guidance.
Randy?
I think when you showed the balcony with the transparent second floor, I was actually really excited because now it looked like a house facing the street, which is what this is. Then you put the wall back up, but only it's not at the railing, it's now at the wall. And I was right back to, it's absolutely flat with the historic structure. I think if you pull the transparent wall back a little bit from the historic structure, put the balcony back on, then it would look like a balcony facing the street, which is a typical residential element in Miami Beach of housing facing streets. So I don't, I was kind of shocked by the solid wall. Now it's just back 10 feet. It's just a solid wall again. And it just feels like there's no recognition of the street as the front of the building. So that's how I feel. Okay. To give
appreciate
my
that.
direction.
I appreciate it.
Mitch, did you want to say something?
Sure. The rendering you introduced, why not add a secondary window on the other side to line up with the historic building below? Also, on the initial rendering, why not bring the curtain wall forward, whether at balcony or handrail level or the full way up? And of course, it sounds like the consensus is to reduce the depth, but it's good architecture, what you've presented. And I look forward to when we finally have consensus.
It should be when, next month or June?
Well, that's the other question. If we continue this, which it seems like we have to, when would you like to, you'll need to be able to make some changes and resubmit.
December.
When would you, December?
Well, when would, if we were to try to make for November, when would
We
you
need
need to have
everything by
here?
next Monday.
By next Monday.
Monday.
Yeah. we
For
can do that.
November?
Mr. Chair?
Yeah.
I think we can do that, and what I would continue to appreciate, as many of you have already given me feedback on the multiple options we've presented, and as much feedback as we can get from you, the better that we can come back with something that you would like.
Yeah, Mitch?
On to that point, do any of my colleagues have a comment on the cable railing, hand railing system versus an extended curtain wall?
Well, I think our colleague at the end here suggested the alternative with what we saw as like darker balcony. We didn't like that, but the same thing, reduced balcony, the lower, am I saying that right, Randy? That you want to reduce depth of the balcony with some sort of railing treatment, whatever that is that you see.
Railing or glass?
Should it be the same material?
Some sort of railing treatment. I don't know if it is metal, glass, wood, the materiality. I think I trust the architect will make the right decision there. I think it's really the imposing nature of that flat wall, whether that is at, the far, at the level of the front facade of the existing contributing building, or whether that is 10 feet later or 10 feet further out, is imposing. And so something that kind of, to me, softens it. I think that would be, so I think I'm aligned with what Randy is suggesting. And did that answer your question, Mitch?
Excuse me?
Does that answer your question, Mitch?
Sort of. I heard a little bit. I heard a lot in that. But Randy suggested or sort of agreed they can continue with the same treatment.
On the mic.
The idea is transparency, not, you know. Yeah, it's just
Not a solid
not,
wall.
it can be a railing. Railing doesn't really go with this building, from what I've seen you design so far. The courtyard is beautiful inside. I think whatever is consistent, but more transparent, that if you're on the sidewalk, you're not looking up at a wall.
Yes.
Okay.
So what about a wall with a balcony railing, constructed of the same?
Depends where it is. It depends where it is in relation to the other building. I like deep balconies. I think it looks richer. I hate when new houses have 4 or 5 foot balconies. It's just really not even usable. A 10-foot balcony, it's fantastic. I lived in a historic house, with great balconies. So I'm not against 10 feet. I'm just against the fact that it imposes so much over the historic structure. That's the reason.
Yeah, okay. I think we've given probably all the advice, if not more, that you can handle. So I guess we'll be looking at continuing this to the November meeting, is that correct?
Yeah, as long as you give us everything by Monday. If not, then you can request for a continuance till December, after next Monday.
We'll do that.
Okay,
Do we need a
so
motion?
do I have a motion to continue until November?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, anybody in disagreement?
And that's to November?
Yes.
till
till
November 18th.
And Michael, for clarification, we can just resubmit our revised plans and revised letter of intent? We don't need all the rest of the application documents, or do we?
We need everything, unless the board, we need everything printed again unless the board members want to pass you back the application documents.
So
Or
we
if the
will,
board members want to keep your packages for this application,
Well, the other option is to give them back to you and then you just put the, or you want us to
I'm trying
keep
to save
these?
yeah.
trees.
What?
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm with them on
We
saving the
have
trees.
like 14 copies that we need to submit, and it's
Yes.
the structural report, all the different
I would suggest the board
plans.
members keep their packages for
Okay.
this application
Yeah.
Okay,
and just submit the supplemental documentation.
okay,
Yes.
perfect. Then we'll keep that. And we'll bring it back.
Perfect, thank you
next
so
time.
much.
Yeah, that's fine.
Thank you.
I think it's,
rather have handed it over to
well,
Spoiled, so to speak. I know there's no right of you. You gotta go.